Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are preparing for a show with the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco here on a Tuesday night special. Good to have each and every one of you here. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon, and the best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, including Kitty Cattywhack in the gold medal position, Eternity Eternal with a silver, Race Fan with another bronze medal tonight. Fast Hemi, how are you doing? Good to see you. Trucker Andrew, how you doing, buddy? Nice to have you here as well. Scrolling on down, we have Alex Sanchez. Nice to have you here early. David Norenberg, good to see you. Robert Lamoth and Road Flare, good to have you here. Frankie B and T-Bone, my man. How you doing, T-Bone? Good to have you guys here. Bar Madison, thanks for coming on in. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any of that rigidness going on, so thank you, Mel, for the lube addition to this show. Hi, Amanda. How are you? Good to see you. As we continue on with our roll call here, who's next on our list? Ethanol. Good to have you here. Missouri Man, how you doing? Missouri Man will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Okay, moving on here. As we are in roll call here. Scrolling on down, there's Cosmic Joe. Number 28 in your program. Starting on defense tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. And then after the show, Lars will be signing autographs. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Scrolling on down, we have Little Cam on YouTube. Yep. Did 588 push-ups to warm up for tonight's show. Did it in 18 minutes. Man, he was cruising. Just cruising. Nina Williams, how are you tonight as we continue on with our roll call? And who's next on our list? Paul Demon. Millennium, my man. Nice to see you. And who's next? Flat 6. Good to have you here. Tracy Winters. She's back again. Tired from signing autographs last night, but she made it here tonight. Operation Shutdown. How are you? Good to see you as we continue on with our roll call here. John Lamb, thanks for coming on in. Al Garay over on Twitch, 400 pounds on the incline bench press, 37 times to warm up for Geraldine tonight. Bob Thorson, how are you? Rockin' Rory, nice to see you. Walter Kochabinski, Dragonfly, thanks for coming on in. Mark Bolden, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Hope you're having a good night. So we continue on with our roll call. Cosmic Joe, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very, very much. Hi there, Sensational Shelley, how are you? And J Truth Seeker, thanks for coming on in. Kitty Cattywhack, thank you for your wonderful super chat. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. Thank you very, very much. And let me just write that down. In the studio, good to have you here. Hillbilly Herb, Esmeralda, thank you for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, Marty Burback, good to have you here, buddy. Fapster, thanks for coming on in as we continue on with roll call. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Kimberly Burgess, how are you tonight, my dear? Hope you're doing very, very well. Jerence Carter, what's happening, my friend? And Bob Seachy, welcome to SOR Chat. And we are caught up. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're just waiting for Geraldine Orozco to arrive for another edition of The Spiritual You. We're going to have a great show with her coming up. We are in roll call on our YouTube side right now as we say hello on X to I'm Hardcore. Yep, says we can officially start the show because Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby is here. Yep, just like the Ohio State Buckeyes. All right, Mark, thank you very much for adding to the love with that Super Chat. Greatly appreciate that. The Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And, of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So go check it out on our website. All right, Commonwealth Andrew, good morning to you. Esmeralda, how are you? Horns up.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show for you tonight, as Geraldine Orozco will be here momentarily for The Spiritual You, and we're going to get into where the heck did our cosmic origins come from? You know, there's a big debate about that. I don't even know where we're from. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with another creepy story. Robin Haynes will be here with the Cryptid Report. All right, we're just waiting for Geraldine Orozco. She's just having some computer issues as we speak, and we are just going to chatter away here until we get her here. But you know what? Cosmic origins. Have you ever thought about, seriously, where does this all start? Where does it come from? It's a conspiracy, man. Total conspiracy. Did we get here put by God and aliens or Big Bang Theory? Were we mutant gnomes from the planet Ishtar or whatever it may be? I don't really know. Well, maybe I do. But that's just an opinion of mine because I'm a God guy. I really am. I always wonder, you know, what this is all about. What are we doing here? Why are there so many mysteries that we either cannot solve, don't know how to solve them, or we know the secrets are really in depth inside some building? Where could it be? Where could it be? Vatican? Pentagon? I don't know. I really don't know. I always wonder that. Because I just think that there is so much more to this life, don't you? That there is so much more that we don't know, that we don't see every day, because we're caught up with the hodgepodge of craziness right now. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine about this right now. I mean, life is crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Bills have never been higher for people. Things have never been more expensive. There's war all over the place, and it seems like everybody wants to blow each other up. We don't know where aliens are coming from, if they're us of the future, us of the past, us from a different time zone, if they're aliens from a different planet, a different dimension. What really is Dogman and Sasquatch? What about all these ghosts that we see on a nightly basis? Maybe not nightly, but you get what I'm saying. I just think that there is way more here that we don't even know about. And I often wonder, and maybe you guys ponder this too, I often wonder if we're allowed to know. Maybe the answer is so far out there that we are not allowed to know because there is some sort of spiritual gap out there that we don't get to learn until after we're dead on this planet. After we unzip the meat suit that we are in, and trust me, I hate that term. It's a gross term, but it fit the sentence. But if we get to unzip it and go on our spiritual journey wherever it takes us, I often wonder about that. Because that's what we're going to get into with Geraldine Orozco tonight. The reason why she's late, let's just be honest, she's reshuffling her shoe collection in her room. That's the reason why. I guarantee it. But we're going to bring her on right now. Geraldine Orozco, it is always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. So great to see you. Thank you so much. My apologies for running late.
It's the shoes again, isn't it? Be honest.
No, this time it's the cars, the traffics. not the shoes. But thank you. So happy to be here.
Were you out dining tonight?
I had a meeting. Dinner was earlier, but yeah, so just rushing back, but very happy to be here.
We're always so happy to have you here because you are like a beacon of light source for so many people on this planet. How do you keep your light so bright and shiny for people to find you?
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you, Dave. What a blessing. I say the same thing about you. I was actually thinking about this earlier today. Funny that you're telling me this. And I think that the more we understand how beautiful we are as human beings, energy beings, just infinite potential, and we can look beyond the physical, this is usually where it becomes so easy to understand how beautiful and valuable we are. So, I just try to see things as they really are as much as possible, not by, belief systems or indoctrination, but really how they are with our real eyes to see things as energy,
I want to get into a topic that I was thinking of because, you've been doing this show for 8 years. And there isn't a lot of topics that we haven't covered more than once. But I think this might be one of them that we've never done before. And I was thinking about it leading into this show tonight and thinking about it for a couple days ago when I was setting everything up for tonight. We've never really got into where do our cosmic origins come from? Mm. You are somebody who has done the in-depth deep dive into what humanity is, what we're about, the spiritual ascension, the spiritual beings that we are. Some with a shoe collection, but other ones who are just trying to find themselves on a daily basis. Because one of the things I said just before you came, I'm not sure you heard it, life is hard right now for a lot of people. People have more stress right now than they have ever had in their lifetime. Okay? If you go back just 10 years ago, people could afford vacations. People could afford their bills. They could afford to buy a house. They could afford to eat, put gas in their car. And if they were lucky enough, they could involve their kids in sports if they had kids, or maybe they played sports or entertainment like music or singing or book clubs on their own. I mean, there was a lot going on. And in my opinion, as society became more introverted due to social media, due to everybody texting rather than calling, Going out wasn't as much of a flavor anymore for a lot of people. They wanted to just kick back at home and do their thing. I just found, Geraldine, that there's a lot of stress right now on people. People don't know whether they're going to have a job tomorrow or not. Bosses are more stressed out than ever, yelling at employees, even though the employees can't handle it anymore. How do we deal with this, man? Because so many are hurting right now.
Yeah, and the answer is always the same. It comes back to love. We have to love ourselves, and we have to be compassionate of ourselves so much that we understand what our true priorities are, not the priorities created by the external situations that surround us. Because we also have to remember that what is occurring outside of us, it's a reflection of what's happening to every single human internally, which is a deep dive into what are our shadows, where our limitations, our deepest fears, our deepest desires that are suppressed. All parts of us that we have suppressed, that we have been ignorant to, are in some way being reflected in the world around us through major global events, shifts, changes in the economic system, in the political system, and it's only going to get more intense, because we need to wake up consciousness to how in disharmony we have been living. I'm not sure that we haven't been stressed previously, but I am sure that we haven't talked about our stress as much as we talk about it today. I mean, 20 years ago, talking about your stress and your anxiety was something that, very few people had the luxury of doing, maybe in, a therapist office. And now therapy is something that is slowly becoming absolutely necessary for the majority of people. And when we come back to really allowing ourselves to acknowledge what we're experiencing, we can wake up consciousness and begin to question if what the way we've been living, along with the construct in this survival mode, is really productive for the human race. And what we're discovering with our eyes wide open in how much we've let the external dictate the direction of our lives, control, how we ourselves have let ourselves fall asleep very deeply into this system of control. And we participate in that by not coming back to the self and not coming back to the divine, not reconnecting with the divine, which is not something that has anything to do with religion. It has everything to do with health, vitality, harmony. These are things that we have been told are not important, that they are fantasy, or that they are religion, or that they are parts that don't need to be mixed with our everyday life. I think that it's necessary for the world to go through this intense transformation, for us to reprioritize and to become really truly aware of what is important. Health, harmony internally, and that harmony is cultivated by a state of complete homeostasis, creating a regulated nervous system in the body, creating resilience to be able to move through difficult, challenging experiences without getting overly emotionally involved in things. That is our downfall, is that we become so emotionally engaged, and our entire identity is based on the changes that are happening around us. Of course, we're going to feel completely, like the floor is being removed from underneath us. So my invitation in this moment of major transition is that we come back to ourselves, we come back into nature, we connect with nature again in order to recognize love. The most loving thing that a human can do for themselves is to nurture the part of them that is in a constant state of stress, constantly, every moment of your day, to be there very present with yourself and be able to bring yourself back to the grounded state of neutral awareness. And you will discover that when you're in that state, all this stress, all the global events, they don't need to create such major emotional engagement in you, because nothing will be changed with that level of stress. Nothing. You can't even see what or discern what is in higher alignment for humanity when you're in stress. So, there's some basic understandings that human race is learning right now. And the sooner we remember these things, more in harmony, the easier this transition point will be.
how do you find the harmony when harmony doesn't pay bills? Harmony doesn't keep the food on the table. Harmony doesn't feed your children. Harmony doesn't keep you working. I mean, most people now are not 9 to 5. They're about 8 to 6, having to get up at 4 or 5:30 in the morning to battle traffic in order to get to where they need to go. I mean, harmony is tough to find.
Well, you see, that's the program. That's the matrix, right? The matrix will tell you that. But that's not the truth. Because right now, our concept of survival is something that has been indoctrinated into us. Okay? The fact that you believe that we have to go to work, pay the bills, feed the children, and the fact that the entire construct is designed on the exchange monetary system, and that some 1% has major wealth, and then the rest of human race is starving on the streets, in poverty, impoverished, completely uneducated, unhealthy, eating garbage food, eating junk food because that's the only thing they can afford. You see, this is the design of the matrix, and that's inharmonious. It's an inharmonious structure. We participate in that when we feed into this system of survival, when we believe that we should live in survival, that we should be killing ourselves at jobs, that we should be following along this monetary system. And that has to change, because that's not the truth. To be in harmony means, number one, that you first come back to your body, come back to yourself to be able to address your emotional needs. You see, on purpose, we have not been taught about our emotions. On purpose, we go through major trauma in this world, early age, and then we're completely lost, because by the time we hit puberty, we are infused with highly sexualized music, confusion about sexual energy, which is our most potent creative life force, our creativity, and who we really are. We're put into universities, given a very specific curriculum based on history that was a lie, and we're told to abide by that. So all of that is a disservice to the truth of human race for a very long time, and we continue to repeat this cycle, and we feed into this system, this monster system. But in reality, the human doesn't need to exist in survival. Even if we go to work in a 9 to 5, we can still continue to do those things from a place of harmony, which is actually the true empowerment of a human. It's in harmony that you have health. How are you going to exist in your 9 to 5 job if you don't even have health, if you're completely stressed, and inflammation and cancer and diabetes, all the number of things that all of us are getting? Right? So all of this is a product of a disharmonious society that we feed into with our actions. So humanity needs to wake up from that. And what the truth is that if we connect with nature, if we come back into harmony with honoring what our body really needs, coming back to organic foods, demanding that we are, eating organic foods, clean water, that we have the capacity of creating balance in our life to sustain a work-life balance. Many countries in the world, they don't operate the way that we operate, especially in America, in that we are just completely disconnected from the family system, from the connection, from community. So that's something also that we have to understand. There's many things in our society that are actually upside down. So that has to change. The change happens with us. We have to change our mentality about how we do things. So for it doesn't mean that we're just going to stop working and then everything's going to be fine. It's going to take some time for this system to change, but we have to change how we participate. So forcing ourselves to make time to be mindful in the present moment, every moment of our day, regardless what's happening. Stop coming into reactivity with the stresses that are happening. That's something that is absolutely in our control. And that's where our power lies. The thing is that we continue the mantra of thinking that we have no control, that we're powerless, that we have to survive. And that's basically the matrix killing the human race. on a very, very deep level. So, yeah.
I think it's absolutely understandable with what you're saying. I don't think a lot of people will agree with that because, like you said, we are into something that we have been coached to deal with. We've been coached to fear everything. You look at these, I'm going to call them, because they're a pet peeve of mine, these absolutely useless verification codes that you have to put on everything now. And they say they are doing it to alleviate money laundering and alleviate fraud and alleviate people breaking into websites, so on and so forth. Half the websites that I use, if a person ever broke into them, the only thing that they would get is a bunch of jumble that makes no sense in today's world. Okay? And the reason why I bring up that example is because that entire technology was created on fear. And somebody is making multi-billions of dollars. And I'm a capitalist. When I say this, I am a capitalist. But somebody is making a multi-billion dollars on fear, so that way we have to be inconvenienced by those stupid verification codes in order to log into a website or log into an app or whatever it may be. And I think that's what you're saying. People have been coached in order to live fear-based, in order to that you don't work 9 to 5 anymore, that you're willing to go 8:30 to 6, that you're willing to give up more of your time, your space, your energy for something that isn't you. Is that being taken advantage of, or is that just the way society has gone?
Well, it's the design of control, right? And I think a lot of these, these cybersecurity things, it's an example of something. But in reality, it's kind of an illusion, the whole security, because, our information has already been, kept for, they've been storing and utilizing all of our user data since day one of the internet, so it's kind of an illusion, So the thing is that when you are not aware and when you are in a dream state, when you're in hypnosis, when you're disconnected from reality, from the true reality of what's happening around us in our world, it requires you to pay attention. It requires you to pay attention to things that most people don't want to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to where these major corporations are moving money. Okay, that's something that the average person, they don't care. They just want to go to work, watch a movie, relax on the weekend, right? So it would have to force them out of their comfort zone. And they would have to do research. They would have to figure out what's happening with the illnesses, origins of illnesses, social engineering, psychological manipulation. You'd have to understand how slowly we are being manipulated. Just this morning, I saw this interview regarding Google and how Google is now the new MK Ultra program, where it is silently manipulating people to make choices, right? Massive amounts of millions of people. They study the algorithm of how they utilize the internet and slowly insert subliminal ideas in a very incredible algorithm of mind control. So this is now coming out, but it's been existing for the past, 15 years. So, these are kinds of things that most people want to close their eyes to. And yes, we are kept in fear so we don't ask questions. The thing is that to wake up consciousness is not just about harmony, is the result, the end result. But to get to the harmony, you do have to disrupt all of the comforts that you believe you have and realize how actually uncomfortable we're living. When I was in my dream state, I didn't realize that I was suffering. I thought everything was fantastic, right? Then you start realizing how much not only you're suffering, but how much your actions cause suffering in the world around you. Everything.
All right, GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. The amazing Geraldine Orozco here tonight on Spaced Out Radio for Our Spiritual You. Coming up next, where do we come from? Where are we going? Cosmic origins next. I will tell you this, and I don't speak a lot about my daytime job on the show because it's very irrelevant to what we do here. But I deal with a lot of banks as a broker.
Uh-huh.
And every bank is coming out with these new types of ways to make us do our job. And the one thing that they all say, and it's all the same thing, is we're here to make it easier for you.
Right.
And I have told all of my reps that I deal with to take their ideas, which are quite similar, and stick them where the sun don't shine. I said, every time you guys try to make my life easier, it makes my life more difficult. It costs me more money, but most importantly, it costs me time. You're not saving my time. You're not making my job easier. If you want to make my job easier, let me send you an email with all the paperwork you need. And even if you want to go further back than that, let me send you a fax. But all of these fandangoed ways that you're creating to make my job easier only creates more difficulty, and I refuse to do it.
Yeah. One of many little
Oh, it drives me nuts.
things that they do. Yeah.
And it's weird because that's exactly what you were just saying, and it popped into my head here. Like, they all say the same thing. It's very 1984-ish, George Orwell.
Exactly.
We're doing it to make life easier for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh.
It's
yeah.
pretty interesting. But
it's
again,
sick,
how many of us complain? How many of us rebel against that? We don't even think that we have the capacity to do that, you know?
Oh, true.
So I'm hoping that, and I'm telling you that that's kind of like programming also, because what's coming is that we give even more personal data, even up until it's going to be DNA pretty soon. Which,
absolutely.
You know, so it's just preparing.
Absolutely. I told one of my reps on a program that I am forced to use it for my daytime job.
Yeah.
I said, if God gave me a choice about taking a bullet in the head right now or using your program for the rest of my life, I would take the bullet, bar none. I said, that is how shitty your program is. And he went, oh. He goes, are you serious? I said, yes. I hate your program. I'm forced to use it. So don't tell me your program's amazing when it is the worst piece of shit I've ever used.
Well, you know, also though, what I would say is that now with the new technology coming in, we the people are the ones that should really learn how to use this so we can begin to change how technology is being used in society in a way that is more responsible. You know, I think now more than ever, we have so much more power available to us. And I don't think it's going to last long, this available power that we have, or at least it's going to be tried to be controlled, I think.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? The internet people keep saying, you know, like, and this is close to my heart, but internet people keep saying, you know, radio is a dead medium. It's a dead medium. You know what is a dead medium if it goes down? The internet. Your cars, your electric cars.
Oh yeah.
Your everything. When it goes, if society were to crash, the only two possible ways for you to get information are through AM radio and ham radio. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and the problem that you have there is if there was a major crash, most people in suburban and metropolitan areas would go crazy. Somebody who, like me, who lives in the bush, I'd be a happy man. Just being Sasquatch. And I'm not even a survivalist. I still have to learn that from my outdoors friends,
Yeah.
right? But it's weird, man.
Well,
It's
and that's why I'm saying we have to develop organic technology, our
oh, I
intuition,
agree.
our telepathy, our higher faculties. That is really important right now.
20 seconds before we get going. Thank you to Deborah Rooney, Adam T-Bone, Mark ×2, Paranormal Anonymous ×2, Kitty Caddywhack, and Cosmic Joe for the super chats. Hi, Deborah Rooney. How are you? Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. That takes up a lot of time. Blue Cruise, how are you? And here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I get to have a great conversation with Geraldine Orozco here. Lucky me tonight, lucky you for getting to listen on in. Hey, we want to remind everybody that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. The wonderful, talented Geraldine Orozco, her website, GeraldineOrozco.com, hanging on out with us. Where are our cosmic origins from? Geraldine, I'm going to ask you the big question right off the bat.
Well, there are so many ways to go about this question, but one way that we can begin to look is at our DNA. Okay, our DNA is kind of like a database. It's like a library that allows us to access a history of our origin, and it's pretty amazing. But DNA has been sequenced to the point where we've been able to find that within the past maybe 2,000-3,000 years, you and I, every single human has a relative in common. So that's what we find recorded in our DNA. So we understand that we all come from some origin. If we all have a family member in common, then we're all coming from a certain origin point. Now, all that to support the concept that we emerge from Mesopotamia. But and that is where an origin point is up until a certain part in history. And when we look at the ancient tablets, ancient scriptures like the Book of Enoch, we look at the Emerald Tablets, we look at many different ancient scriptures, all the ancient civilizations that have talked about the communion of the gods or the sky people or the beings that are the star beings that are interconnected with the human race. Every single ancient civilization has the connection with the stars in terms of a higher intelligence, higher knowledge, higher understanding of who we really are. And so when we begin to observe that, we see a commonality in that we have that origin point. In fact, when we look at the technology of the Aztecs or the Mayans, when we look at the technology of the ancient Egyptians, it far surpasses our own technology today. So these are things that we have to understand. With the Earth history seems to progress in a kind of cyclical pattern, cyclical movement. And so we go through cycles, evolutionary cycles, in which we've seen through history that human civilizations reach really high pinnacle points of advancement, technologically, spiritually, and then something tends to happen where there is a fall or a shift in that, or perhaps moving to a higher octave of civilization every time. Evolution is a natural aspect of this human construct. So when we look at our DNA, we also begin to understand how we have moved and how we have evolved from that Mesopotamia out to the different continents we have spread out. But in my opinion, and what I see from my research, not only from what I'm reading and researching in history, but also by working with contactees that are recovering and recalling past lives, they're beginning to recover and recall timelines of their life experiences, and also communicating with interdimensionals that are providing us a more clear understanding on the human history. It appears that not only are we potentially hybridized, but our world history is actually far older than what we think. And there are many more origin points than Mesopotamia. We actually have origin points in many other continents, like South America, for example. There's many pyramids that are going to be uncovered in the next 3-4 years, and ancient civilizations information that we're just about to discover, which will completely rewrite our global history and our timeline. And once again, we will be met with the information that we are interdimensional beings, but also our origins come from these ancient civilizations that are connected to the star people. Namely, for example, the Orion constellation, which we find in all of these major, pyramids and ancient structures. So we have a very deep bond with Pleiadian bloodlines from the Hopi. I mean, I can go down a whole list of the ancient civilizations that connect with the Pleiadians as being the origin of life on the planet, to the Orion constellation, Arcturian, Andromedan, Venusian. I mean, we have so many different kinds of races, even Martians that we have connected with, and we have this information in our DNA. And this is what I'm uncovering through doing hypnotherapies with contactees that are beginning to recall their past lives, not only as humans, but as interdimensional beings living in these advanced civilizations from which we emerge from, and we're also exchanging information with. So yeah, we'll start there.
Do you think that we come from a Big Bang type theory, or is this more spiritual, where we come from a different planet? Our DNA comes from the universe somewhere, or a godly creation?
It's a very loaded, multi-question question. I think to begin, in terms of the Big Bang, I think our science is uncovering now, more recently, that the Big Bang is actually one of many events that have happened. There are actually many other events prior to the Big Bang. Big Bang being one of those events. So no, I do not believe that our origin is from the Big Bang as we have been shown. I believe that it's one of a cycle of a much larger expansion of this universe. And again, the universe, as they said, it's expanding. Now they're finding that it's actually contracting again. It's not expanding as much as they thought. And the universe being this kind of lattice structure that is constantly kind of moving through this contraction and expansion between this dark matter. And so I think we're very, very young in our understanding of the universe and the how time would play a role in that. But what I see from the etheric realm is that time obviously is a human-made construct, and that everything is existing simultaneously. So we have access to millions of years ago available to us right here, right now, and we can tap into this information and pull from there a different understanding of our world history, of our universal history. So do I believe that there is a God essence? What I see is that there is a field of consciousness, a field of infinite potential from which we emerge. And that infinite potential has a way of self-organizing itself in spiral formats of information. It is kind of going through a refraction process through dimensional layers of information. And we are existing simultaneously in millions of dimensions that, make up this multiverses in which we can express out into. But we really are only mostly worried about our immediate universe. And as humans, we have the access to at least 24 of those dimensions through our DNA, which we are actively moving in and out of, which also include multiple timelines. So the world as we know it, the planet Earth and its history, is really only one timeline. There are many, many timelines that are currently existing simultaneously to now that are occurring on this planet Earth, and we participate. This is a co-creative process. We participate in how these timelines become available to us based on kind of the choices that the human race makes. This is kind of like navigating DNA. If you can imagine all of this information as a projection from DNA, we hold within our DNA in the same way that we hold how the human race has evolved from Mesopotamia. We also hold more information, which is really the history of the universe. That's also in our DNA. But I think our greatest limitation right now is our science based on old constructs, which are going to very, very soon change, I think, with the amount of computational power that we have with artificial intelligence that allows us to be able to see beyond the construct that we have been kind of holding on to, Big Bang theories, things like this. So that is allowing us to understand that we are belonging. More and more physicists are talking about us being emerging from a field, really, a field of consciousness from which everything is existing and everything is conscious to some level. So to me, that experience of becoming aware, coming into awareness, that is the human experience. That is the manifestation inside the physical vessel on the planet Earth, that is emerging. It emerges. That awareness is kind of emerging consciousness. I think that's the primary directive of existing as a human in this universe. And to me, that is it's the most divine model. If you were to think of a God, I don't believe that there is a being that is directing all of this. I think that we are part of a field of consciousness that is becoming aware of itself through all of its manifestations, whether it be planets or universes. We seem to be emerging in that, and we're proactively we are participating in that.
You mentioned different timelines. So we're living in multiple different timelines on this earth right now. Would that not give credence to something like the Mandela effect?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that that's a true phenomena of what's a phenomena to us, but it's something that is definitely something that we become aware of at some point, especially those that are paying attention. And I think that when the Mandela effect does happen, it lets us kind of wake up from that dream state that we've fallen into, just like deja vu. Deja vu is being in the line of destiny. What is destiny? Repeating things. We are repeating storylines that are encoded in our genetic history, our ancestral history. So when we're abiding and attaching to those constructs, all we do is repeat. So we experience a lot of deja vu. We kind of follow that destiny, and destiny will always lead to experiences that are karmic or that will trigger a wake up experience, So I do believe that as a human race, we're also experienced that at the macro effect. All of us are kind of going through with our choices as a human race. We are choosing timelines collectively, and we experience these kinds of Mandela effects where we remember differently how we've experienced things in the past.
That is incredible. So does that give credence that the things that are happening on this timeline could have been shifted or changed for all of us in such little ways that we wouldn't even notice?
Absolutely. I think that it's interesting because there comes a point where someone does realize, and that's usually when we all kind of wake up from that dream state. But, I think the takeaway from that is to understand how much co-creative power we actually do have. And Also, to notice how invested the 1% or these certain kind of shadow governments of control seemingly are investing in our capacity to come into a dream state. Everything in our world around us is designed to put us to sleep, to make us unconscious, to come back into separation. And separation is one of the greatest illusions of human race. We are completely one organism of consciousness. And the sooner we wake up and we unite back into that oneness, the quicker we'll be able to move through into a higher timeline collectively. So that's very important for the next 3 years, because by 2027, the veil between the physical world and the interdimensional world will have fallen. And so that's where we really need to kind of be aware of and prepare in a way.
Let's go down that rabbit hole, the 2027 rabbit hole. I have had so many people asking recently, Dave, what is supposed to be happening in 2027? Because we hear all of the big UFO people, the UAPers from the government saying we got to be prepared for 2027. What do you hear about 2027?
I haven't heard what they said, but I have channeled in a hypnotherapy 3 months ago. I was able to take a glimpse into the potential future timeline for humanity. And it was very clearly shown to me that by 2027, our human race will have entered into a completely different era in which we are walking in the direction of major implementation of technological control of our skies, which means that there will have been several, widely led disclosure events and just many, many events of like thousands of UFOs showing or drones or however they're going to want to propose that. I believe it will be orchestrated from this government in order to do many things, a couple things. Number one, it's going to be the disclosure of technology, which will be the number one point of focus, because that technology that is already being worked on and implemented silently in the back end is major genetic database information that will be used for pharmaceutical industry moving forward, our food industry moving forward, and then surveillance systems that are based on genetic data. So this is something that has been in the works for a very long time, but it's going to be really implemented at this point. And I think that what we see with political situations around the world, that's definitely being set up if you pay attention very clearly. Just last week, I just heard they talking about a golden dome. And I was very surprised to see that, because that is something that I was shown within my hypnotherapy, that the point of these kinds of major drone events and UFO, which are government technology, are going to be to enforce strict air surveillance because of potential disclosure, because of the vibrational frequency in which we're at right now. And there's a major energetic shift that we're going through from this year until 2027. And the energetic shift is what is causing the veil to thin more and more and more. So we are inevitably going to enter into the next phase of a multidimensional human race. Every single human will begin to develop a vision, an understanding. Disclosure is absolutely, you cannot, it's undeniable. And so from that perspective, it will be a very fast movement implementing robotics and artificial intelligence in the majority of the sectors of industrialization. So we're kind of going through this entire major revamping of the industrial systems. And that will leave a lot of people without a lot of jobs, without jobs. A lot of people without jobs. And that's why right now I'm extremely focused on helping talk about this for people to begin to prepare themselves, because what will be valuable in the future is that as we move through this very strong push to become transhumanist. In the next 3 years, there will be more of these kinds of fear-mongering psychological manipulations that if we don't move in the direction of artificial intelligence, we will die, we will get sick, we will be jobless, we will be, there will be lots of little events that will happen that will really rise up. Now, these kinds of disclosure, these false disclosure movements that are going to happen are also going to begin to promote kind of little civil wars within the US. And it's going to be about the educational system. It's going to be about sciences. It's going to be about religions, because we are going to have to revisit all of those aspects as we go deeper into this direction of disclosure, for the purpose of governmental control and the implementation of majorly advanced technology. So it will change the way that our lives are run as we know it. So there will be a change in the financial systems as well, because as I mentioned in the beginning, right now we're kind of abiding in this little cycle of survival and 9-to-5 jobs. And with the implementation of this system, a lot of people are not going to have those jobs anymore. They will have to learn how to become sovereign, self-sustaining in other ways. And the only hope for humanity is that they tune in to their divine connection with Source, with their divinity, in order to understand what their true purpose, their gifts, their work is. And I can't stress how much, when we do internal healing work, that we begin to choose collective timelines. As I was mentioning before, this is how we can direct human race in a whole different direction. I don't see that the end goal, so the 2 timelines I was given is up until 2027. And then after that, there's going to be a window from 2027 to 2035. These 2 numbers were very clear. 2035 is going to be when everything is going to move into an extremely advanced civilization on this planet. So it's slowly implementation of all these new controls, but the major changes are going to happen in the next 3 years.
According to many, that's when the ETs may show themselves, 2027. And they may show themselves in different races. They may show themselves in one big barrage coming here. The mothership could be on her way, whatever it may be. In your meditation, did you see the alien contact picking up in 2027?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I wasn't clear about that. Absolutely. So in addition with the control of the skies, it's to control and slow down the real disclosure of real ET contact, right? So number one, it's going to be to try to monopolize this event that is happening, this energetic shift, in order to implement advanced Earth technology, extremely advanced Earth technology. And we're going to realize that a lot of the UFOs we have been seeing are actually terrestrial UFOs, right? Terrestrial. And of course, we have a lot of alien races that are working here with the government as well. So that will, I'm not sure it's going to be fully disclosed 100%, but that will kind of show its head over the next 3 years, for sure. But alongside of that, of course, is because we're going through this interdimensional awakening. And what I mean by humanity having a veil lifting and becoming multidimensional is that all of us are now going to have more ET contact, more visions. We're going to be able to see the multidimensional reality, which means that we can see these beings and what has actually been going on. So absolutely, that is something that is inevitable. As I mentioned earlier, this ET contact. But it's going to happen in many different ways. People are they've already been receiving dream state, dreams. And, I think the whole movement with the ayahuasca movement in the past, 10 years has also kind of moved people into activating them multidimensionally. I don't agree with that whole system, but I think that is part of this transition point for humanity to understand and become more comfortable with interdimensional presence, ETs, beings, things like that. So I do see that the ETs will present themselves in 2 stages. One being interdimensional, interplanetary, intergalactic communication and exchange, but there's also going to be the inner earth beings that will also emerge from the oceans. We're going to discover a lot about technologies and civilizations that are underwater. So those two aspects are going to be no longer suppressed. So will actually be the main reason why we will have many of those little civil wars, because our understanding of the world, history, sciences, religion, education, basically what I see is like college books being burned and thrown away
Right.
because just, nothing real.
Geraldine, we're going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, another hour with Geraldine, 2 hours left in the show, 3 before Dave gets to go to bed. This is Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. Geraldine, we're going to turn things over to the dirty one so he can talk some cartoons and stuff. We got about 5.5 minutes, my friend.
Yes.
Hello, dirty.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Geraldine. Hello, everybody else. Bye, Dave. Bye, Geraldine.
Great to see you.
Everybody's going out to let the dog man out. Whoops. So I drew the dog man. He's out at the graveyard looking for a bone, because what else do dogs do comically besides carry around bones? Hello, Mr. Gremlin. I was waiting for the gremlin to attack me, but he didn't, so everything's all good. Thank you, Matthew Yudka. Now remember, next Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, log in Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel. I'll be there drawing cartoons. I think I'm going to have to draw a whole bunch of little mini art cards. I've done them before. Let me get an example here. There we are. Dig through 10,000 pounds of drawings. So I make these art cards, and they're just a bunch of different things. And then I cut them up into little card size. Well, obviously card size things here. This is an arcade machine. It's the Ghost Hunter. Anyways, so I go to the art walk and I let everybody that stops by take one. Because why not? It's free advertisement. And usually the 2 times I went to the Spaced Out Radio thing in Vegas, I think I brought about a bazillion cards and handed them out to random people. So it worked out pretty good. I think I'll probably have to go to the next one and then hand out a whole bunch of cards to everybody. Anyways, rambling away here. Oh, yeah, it's almost cat snack time for all the cats. Yeah, I'll be back. Let's see if they kind of have an uncanny. They kind of look the same a little bit. Old dog man hanging out in the studio tonight. Hello, Fast Hemi. Hello, Zenzabil. It's a little bit knocked over, but what do you do with cats, right? They're absolutely out of control all the time. I haven't drawn Dogman for a while. I forgot what his colors were, so I had to refer to my old sheet that I got here from back in 2023, which it lets you know the colors of the speech balloons for all the characters that I do. It's a little bit sun-faded now, but yeah, so if there's ever somebody hiding, like an alien posing as a human, it would be in orange and yellow. That's why all my speech balloons and everything have little brackets around them. It's a little nod to an old cartoon that I used to read. But anyway, it's not important. I'll probably ramble about on Saturday. So you have to come on Saturday, 2 o'clock Pacific. Hello, Mr. Gremlin. Ow. 2 o'clock Pacific. Go to the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel. I'll be there drawing cartoons. And probably a cat or two. More than likely a cat or two. Because the last time I didn't even get through the little fake advertisement thing that I had made. And it was World War II under my feet. World War III, rather. Look at this thing. Oh, you can't see this gremlin, but he's getting the pettings. I can tell you that much. He knows his snacks are coming, everybody. All right. Other than that, if you ow, getting clawed here. If you feel like getting any comic books or cartoons or original artwork, just go to filthy.com, FYLTHY.com. Shoot me email, and pretty much everything that I draw is for sale. So you have about like 10,000 spaced out radio episodes to go through and say, hey, I'd like that. It's probably on my shelf still. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Look at him, Mr. Gremlin. What a dork. Beating up that gremlin, Dave.
Dirty.
Hey, look. The dog man and the dog man are quite similar to each other. Oh, yeah. He doesn't like that guy, does he? Fight's on now. Gremlin's out of control.
Filthy, when can people find your new show?
2 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays. Every Saturday.
And do you like it? You're 2 in.
The third time, I'm definitely not going to have any audio feedback or not click the wrong button. Third time's a charm, right, Dave?
You're doing your best, buddy. You're doing amazing. Thank you for bringing more entertainment to the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel. You're awesome.
As long as people are enjoying themselves, I'm happy doing it. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
Everybody go support Filthy on his new show on Spaced Out Radio every Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Thank you tonight so far to Cosmic Joe, Kitty Caddywhack, Mark ×2, Paranormal Anonymous ×2, Adam T-Bone, and Deborah Rooney for the great super chats. Geraldine changing her shoes in a wardrobe change for hour number 2 here coming up. And how's your water? Is it good?
Amazing.
Good?
What wardrobe change? I'm wearing the same thing.
Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in. Where are our cosmic origins coming from? Geraldine Orozco is our guest. We'll get to her momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ecdesiast. Ecdesiast is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our good friend Geraldine Orozco is here. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. She comes in monthly for a little segment we call The Spiritual You. She is amazing at what she does, from hypnotherapy to spiritual contact to extraterrestrials and everything in between. Geraldine, it's always a pleasure to have you on this show.
Thank you so much.
We've been talking about humanity's cosmic origins. What's the chances that we're just a bunch of alien DNA swapped over from, I don't know, Zeta Reticuli, the Pleiadians, the Anunnaki, and every species in between? Because I swear to God, my former mother-in-law comes from the evil reptilian category on this. But, you know, there can't be all good humans. So where are we coming from? Are we aliens?
Yes, well, I'll put it this way. Within our DNA, we have the entire spectrum of potential species. Every single one of us. There isn't a single one of us that doesn't have everything from Draco up to the highest light being manifesting possible. We have the access to all of those ranges of consciousness. If you speak about it, if you know about it, if you think about it, it's in your realm of consciousness, and your available memory system, right? What you process in the world, not only through resonance, the majority of your experiences are defined by your frequency, by your vibrational frequency. So people that are more attuned to, let's say, Draco-reptilian experiences have that frequency more at surface, but it doesn't mean that they're negative people or that they're bad. It simply means in that evolutionary state, they are aware of that part of themselves at that moment. As dark and deep as you go, as high as you can go. So every single human that has had contact with, let's say, reptilians, and I also want to clarify, draconians are a pretty dark species. Draconians are mainly responsible for the sustainability of this matrix, and primarily working with shadow government. And they are a very parasitic race, right? So when we talk about ranges of frequency, we're talking about most parasitic to highest vibrational light beings that are less matter. The more parasitic, the more dense, the more physical, the more attached to identity, egoic, just imbalanced exchange with everything, driven by desires, driven by lust, by sex, by abuse, by manipulation. It's the inversion of nature. Anything that is driven by that way of moving energy is very, very familiar with Draco-reptilian races. Okay, but again, as I mentioned, if in your DNA you have memories of experiences with that, let's say, for example, people that have had MyLab experiences or military abductions, things like this, they have in their DNA a very long history of relationship with these Draco-reptilian kinds of races and many other millions of races that we don't even know the name, but they are along those parasitic lines of consciousness. Every human that has the lowest potential also has the highest potential in their DNA. And we're always moving in and out of many different frequency ranges. That's what we should be doing. Unfortunately, the majority of human race, they have one experience and then they completely attach to that. They identify with that completely. And that's a very limited way of living as a human. The other part is that when you talk about reptilian, which is kind of like the next octave up in a plethora of different kinds of species, let's say the reptilian, let's say gray types, let's say there's so many different kinds of species, but in between those kinds of frequencies generally, they also have another scale of frequency. So there can be high vibration reptilians as well. There are some high vibration reptilians. Now, when we say high, they're not that high. They're still pretty dense, still within, let's say, 13-dimensional layers. Okay, so every dimension will kind of dictate how this person engages with duality. So the more dualistic they are, the more parasitic they are, the more quote-unquote negative. I really try to stay away from categorizing things as black and white because nothing is black and white. Nothing is good and bad. Everything is just simply either disconnected from their source, in denial of their source, fearful of their source, in deep states of separation, or completely united and one with source. That's the only difference. And every human experience, every interdimensional experience is valid. So what I've discovered by interviewing families of contactees is that within the memories of these hypnosis, in grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, sister, brother, children, we kind of tend to have experiences with collective species. So, for example, one family group, all of them had contacts with the blue beings. They've never talked about it before together, but in hypnotherapies, each one of them had at least one experience with a blue being. And I found this to be the case with several families that I was working with from around the world, different species. Another family would be very connected with Anunnaki beings, another family with reptilian beings, another family with Arcturian beings. So what this is kind of showing us is that it's in our DNA. we pass down our connection and relationships with star beings that are in our family lineage. Everything from the part of the world that we're born into to our blood type play a role in what kind of information we have access to, in the kind of spectrum of vibrational frequencies that we have the capacity to enter into the memory libraries of. All of that is available through our DNA. So ultimately, we are all the races. The fact that you have a reptilian brain in the way that it functions to create survival mechanisms for this physical vessel helps us understand that we are descendants. We have been hybridized biologically, structurally, in order to exist in a dualistic matrix that can sustain the capacity to access through our DNA parasitic beings up to highest dimensional beings. We have all of that. The fact that we have a pineal gland and that we produce DMT in order to navigate dream states and meet these interdimensional beings helps us understand that we are multidimensional and we are hybrids. The fact that we can remember our past lives, the fact that we can telepathically communicate, we can remote view. All of these psychic capacities are part of our multidimensional tool set. And these are all things that are passed down through the generations from these multidimensional species from which we emerge. We are just one of many humanoid races that have been a product of hybridization and vice versa. They themselves, those races, are also a product of hybridization. Draconian beings are a product of hybridization, reptilians, and so on and so forth. It just depends on how they sustain frequency, how they hold and they exchange it.
So basically, we're all hybrids.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Well, at least based on my research and my work, yes.
Are some more hybrid than others, or what would be the indication of what indigo children or star children are like then?
Basically, what we activate in our DNA, what we allow ourselves to activate in our DNA. So some of us have chosen lives that are completely disconnected. Our astrological sign is a way that this kind of infinite potential, it self-organizes in a spectrum of information. So every single astrological sign is a vibrational frequency. And so we are born into different astrological signs in order to experience different aspects of our multidimensionality. There are certain astrological signs that combine that are helping us understand that they are kind of like portal ways into different star systems. So in one life, you might be more connected to the Arcturians, and there is a connection between your astrological sign and also the part of the world that you're born in. But the kind of astrology that I'm talking about is not really just like, your zodiac. I'm talking about like universal astrology, kind of higher esoteric astrology, in which you as a soul, the kind of life experiences that you've chosen. So there's many factors, right? In addition to that, your ancestral lineage. So, if you, for example, the Mayans, if you're a descendant of the Mayan, you have a very specific blood type that has certain activations that allow you to access this pool of knowledge from the Mayan lineage. And so you have a lot of that you have their positive traits, and you also have the negative traits of the Mayan civilizations, the ancient civilizations connecting to the Orion or the Pleiadian species. So we have that in our DNA. And so depending on what we activate through our meditation, through our deprogramming of the matrix, because the matrix, basically creating constructs of limitation and separation, are always going to blind us from seeing ourselves as we truly are. And we are innately multidimensional. So as we start to deconstruct those limitations, we begin to remember. We can use hypnotic regression to access. People see UFOs, people have dreams, people have missing time. All of these experiences are the activation of your DNA, because the DNA is reflecting into your reality the memory of your connection to these species. So we actually begin to recover memory more and more and more, and we remember who we are. We remember who we are as a whole. So children are hybrids as well. And this is part of the hybridization program, essentially, or what I say, the sustainability of this matrix. Every soul that we create and we bring into this planet Earth, into this reincarnation cycle, is a hybrid that is healing many things, disrupting many things, continuing many things. So every single soul is kind of playing out this kind of work. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Let's get into some audience questions here. Let's go to Blue Cruise. Have you ever heard that in mid-2027 that censorship throughout algorithms on a platform such as YouTube will increase if the aliens or extraterrestrials do not make their presence known to all humankind?
No, not specifically. I have not heard anything such as this. No, I think that control is part of this system. It has nothing to do with well, I could say that they are, first of all, ET contact and alien disclosure is inevitable. Okay, nobody can stop that. They're going to try. They have already been trying for a long time. Nobody's going to stop that. So the element of control is a tool that is utilized to slow down that process. It's been working, but it's not going to work for long.
Cool. All right, let's move to another question. Let's go to ethanol. How can folks prepare for 2027?
Number one things, absolutely have a daily meditation practice to learn how to regulate your nervous system so that you are not like a candle in the wind being driven by all the sensationalization and propaganda from many different directions that will try to put you into fear, into survival, into feelings of disconnect and hopelessness. There are also elements of cosmic movements, solar flares. The sun acts up more during these transition points in the universe because our plasma in our body is very deeply in relationship with sun and solar movement. So a lot of people are going to be feeling really heavy energies coming through. Some people might even feel like they're getting sick. So we need to clean the light body to become more light. I'm not talking about diet or weight. I'm talking about how you move infinite potential, life force through your body. It's really important to detoxify from media in order to come back into the center and to connect to the real source of information, which is your Akashic record. So, listening to Dave telling me about so many people talking about 2027 is amazing. So, I'm getting this information already such a while ago. And it really proves over and over again how when we connect to the Akashic records, we can read what is coming. And we can all know the information and all know how to prepare. So connect up into your crown, clean the energy body, activate telepathy, practice remote viewing. These are basic tools for activation of your higher faculties. And it is essential that you learn how to connect to your emotional body so that you can learn how to heal yourself. One of the biggest points of manipulation for the future towards the transhumanist movement is that humans don't understand the power of their technology. We have the power to heal our bodies and become very highly conductive, regenerative systems. So we need to come into that as soon as possible. So that is my invitation for that.
All right, let's move to another question here. Let's go to Deb. Geraldine, do you think humans will merge physically with AI in order to evolve?
Evolution is an inevitable process. Every single human is evolving, whether you like it or whether you are evolving. So no, from that perspective. The transhumanist movement is very real. And in order to limit the expansion of receiving higher band waves of frequency from the sun, the ascension on the earth is translated through the cosmic universe, through the sun. Okay, so all our progression through this universe, we operate in a spiral movement. it happens through the sun. The sun is like an antenna that absorbs data and transmits to humanity through rays of the sun. And those rays of the sun activate and deactivate DNA depending on how we're moving and how we can hold light in the body. So this technology is implemented in order to limit that activation, to dumb down and to atrophy the pineal gland. It's very important that we understand that we use the technology, learn how to use it, master it, implement it to become self-sustaining, create businesses for ourselves that are going to create harmony on this planet Earth, healing, clean water, free energy. That's where our focus should be right now in order to pull away from these parasitic systems. So use the AI for that now. And I don't think the AI will be as freely available as it is now in the future. So this is the time. And so the other direction is to become organically highly activated technologically. In the far future, I see highly spiritual people that have developed the higher faculties living in harmony with AI in their home, but in a way that is harmonious, that is more in the direction of conscious interaction and support. I see that as a potential timeline. Okay, no, not these systems of control and parasitism. So hope that that's the direction we go.
Well, this leads to Zenzabil's question, and I was kind of thinking about this right as he was typing it out in our chat room. How much does AI figure into this near-term shift? Will it distract, propel, distract or propel this shift?
I mean, it's like this evolutionary shift is going to happen whether anything happens on this planet or not. AI has already been, you see, mainstream, we don't really understand how advanced AI has really gotten, but those corporations do. So that's why right now they have the upper hand. We have a window of time to educate ourselves and catch up to the information that has been suppressed. One way to do that is to research, of course. Another way is to connect to the field, which is absolutely imperative right now. And as they slowly let out the AI information, which is inevitable, the spread of AI, the implementation of an AI is just as inevitable as our evolutionary process. We need AI in order to shift into it's kind of like a quantum jump that we're doing in the human race into a higher octave of computational power. Okay, so we're moving into another state of being in the way that we process information. We need to, in order to be in resonance in communication with advanced civilizations. This computational power is created organically when we activate our psychic abilities, and AI is mimicking that advancement. Okay, so AI always mimics nature. That's what they're doing with technology. It always mimics nature. But we've been blind to the fact that that organic technology is available. So I think right now the invitation is that we participate in hopefully controlling the direction of this narrative in a way that is going to be productive for humanity, not destructive. Because in the direction of transhumanism, I see people will not be able to procreate in the future, the humans, and we will become like that story of the Greys that could not procreate and had to do hybridization programs. We are headed in that potential timeline with the transhumanist agenda. Okay, so we want to avoid that, basically.
All right, let's go to another question here. Actually, before we do, we have about 1 minute to go here. I want to continue with this AI topic here because I think maybe it's because I'm in my 50s now and I'm starting to get cranky. AI scares the living daylights out of me. I mean, I love the advances that it's making. You know, ChatGPT is incredible. You know, what we're seeing with videos and everything in between is fantastic. But the darker side of AI that we don't know yet, this is right out of a Terminator movie as we got about 30 seconds left.
Yeah, so what I noticed is the same fear that we have to our own shadow is the same fear that we're experiencing with any unknown, including AI. So this is kind of like, it's a growing pain that the humanity has to go through in order to address our shadow, as our shadow fear of the unknown, and embrace this technology because it can be very helpful for humanity. But we're only being shown the dark side to intimidate humanity, as always, and to control them and to make them fear the power that is available to them. So what I see is that we also have to
Let's hold that thought. Continue it with Geraldine Orozco when we return.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Don't want to change shoes for this final half hour?
No, Dave, I don't want to change slippers for this hour. Gosh.
I'll guarantee you somewhere in your place is a pair of Crocs just to relax in.
Never.
Really? I've got Crocs on right now.
Aw, that's cute.
They're the ugliest shoes I own, but the most comfortable.
They're pretty cool. It's just not my style. But they're pretty cool.
I know. What if they came in like a 3-inch stiletto? Would you do it then? Would you crock it up then?
Maybe if they would come in like an organic, raffia or something like that. It bothers me that they're plastic. They're like rubber. Those things will never be eliminated in the history of life. We'll have a museum of Crocs in the future. Indestructible. That's funny.
Court note says, welcome to SOR chat. It should be illegal for grown adults to wear Crocs. Derek wants to know Gucci or Prada.
Neither. No child abuse labor clothing here. Ever.
Wow, just hitting hard with that answer. Okay, how does Geraldine feel about Ugg boots?
I've never owned them, but I think they're amazing for the winter. I would say yes.
Joe's dog Lola has chewed off the toe parts of his Uggs, so his toes stick out like sandals now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think they use sheepskin, right, to do the Uggs?
I don't know what they use.
Yeah.
I don't know. Definitely sheep's wool inside.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the wool. The wool. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the skin. That would be terrible. Yeah.
Oh, Joe says he's wearing Ugg boots right now.
Ooh, nice.
I gotta get some new shoes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of shoes do you need?
I have a shoe fetish, you know that.
Okay, so it's actually you that has the 300 pairs of shoes, and all this time I'm getting hit for it? Okay, I see.
Hi, Fapster. Hey, Ozzy. I think I've got 5 pairs of Converse that I'd never wear.
Uh-huh.
I only wear like 1 pair of them. The other ones are just too nice to wear. Granola Grin,
really?
How you doing? I have a pair of Hey Dudes that I wear every day because I love them.
Oh.
What I don't own is a good pair of running shoes, sneakers. I don't have a good pair of sneakers. I'm very picky about sneakers, and I stopped wearing Nike.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, what kind do you need to get now? What kind do you want to get?
I don't know. I need some like casual dress shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have a pair, and mine are more. The pair that I have are more fall type.
Got it. Right. Yeah. Good.
So, that's where I'm going. Yeah.
That's nice. Now the weather, is the weather better over there now?
Oh, it's t-shirt weather now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was I think today it got up to about 78.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Warmer than
Richard
here.
Minnick, how you doing?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep. So,
Nice.
no, I don't bling my Crocs out. Sorry. Yeah. It's supposed to get hot here soon.
Oh, it's already beautiful.
It's what time is it? 10:30? Just got dark.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see the Aurora Borealis? I think like last Sunday
Oh
or
yeah.
something. It's
I
supposed
put
to
a
be like,
couple videos on. It was dancing right over top of my house.
that is so
Like literally like the streams and the pink and the green was dancing right over my house. It was like, but it's been happening like real late at night.
wow. You're so
All right.
lucky.
20 seconds to go here. Thank you and hello to the great Human Carl for a great super chat. Thank you, Deborah Rooney, T-Bone, Adam, Cosmic Joe, Kitty Caddywhack, Mark ×2, Anonymous ×2. We really appreciate the love and support. We'll get a Human Carl's question right off the bat here. Coming up in like 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4, 3. We're at the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in with Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. Always a fun time indeed when Geraldine is hanging out with us. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Go to YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's our good friend Geraldine Orozco, her website, geraldineorozco.com. We are taking audience questions right now about our cosmic origins. Right now we're talking with AI, and Geraldine, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are going to start off with a question from Human Carl, because we got to call him Human Carl. We don't want to misconstrue him with Alien Carl, so that way we know who we're talking about here.
Okay.
Geraldine, you have been referring to AI as if it's a singular entity. There are many AI systems available throughout the world. Which ones do you trust?
This is a too complicated question to take quickly. But what I'm really talking about is whatever is accessible to you, because the majority of those advanced AI systems are not available to the average person. Okay, so the one that we want to use is whatever we have available to us, right? These systems, and it's kind of a two-sided thing. Remember that these algorithms are also learning through us. Right now, why it's so available to us is that we're programming it, right? That's why it's so available to us. The more people that use it, the more they use that data to carry out whatever needs to be done. It's kind of it's a social engineering, social training, social research that is occurring by the ability to have this AI available to the modern to the masses. So we want to try to train, if we do use it, in a way that we're inputting a different octave of consciousness in there, a different octave of awareness. So if you have access to AI and if you can somehow use that for whatever it is that you're doing, and the reason why is because by doing your internal work and finding your gifts, finding what you're really here to do, what you love, what brings you joy, and then once you have that, you can use AI to help you do all these menial things that, we used to have to hire people for, we had to learn for. It was so difficult to get things done. Now those things are available to us, okay? So use that as a tool to help you get what you need done. in order to set yourself up so that you don't have to be dependent on the 9 to 5 jobs when they start to transition out. That is my call to action, because it will happen eventually. I'm talking about the jobs that can be easily replaced by robotics and artificial intelligence. Those are being programmed and already prepared. So yeah, to answer your question, please use what is available to the human race. And in regards to trust, that is something that is programmed, unfortunately, by the shadow, because they are the ones that are primarily in control of the AI systems right now. And the reason why I advise for the masses to begin to use is so that we can shift that leverage of control that we are currently beginning to see right now. Okay, so as best as we can.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Mark. The big question, disclosure happens. Who controls the benefits they reveal?
Exactly. So right now, the narrative is solely controlled by the shadow because of how ET contact has been socially engineered into the average human, right? There's no such thing as aliens, or if we see them, we shoot them down, and we protect ourselves, right? And so the angle that the government has been slowly implementing is that of control and protection. As you heard in the last few congressional hearings, they want to know if it is a national security issue. They want to know if they need to address Space Force. They want to know if they should put a control in drones to monitor space. And that's going to be wanting to be put into deeper implementation in the next 5 years. So that's why, again, the power is in the people, in those that have contact, to begin to talk about those experiences, so we can begin to change the narrative from this idea that we are only attacked by aliens or ETs or things like that. The military has been pushing the propaganda of negative ETs since the 20s already, 30s. They already began pushing that agenda. So we have to correct that, and we have to broaden the perception of ET contact as something that is completely directed by the internal resonant system of frequency. That's really important, because the difference between advanced civilizations and AI, the technology and the ETs that the government will want to disclose, will be AI. That's the kind of technology and aliens they're going to want to disclose, which is not real, which is a false created robotic being, just like the programmable grays, Draco-reptilians, and these beings that are very parasitic. The other side is high dimensional beings. They don't have form, they can change, they don't even operate on the physics that we understand here. That's what we need to get familiar with and talk about and understand deeply, so that we can learn to discern the difference. One that is driven by love, and the other that is driven by fear and physical matter with no emotion, dead, right? These are the two different kinds of alien beings that are going to be presented to humanity, and one will be driven for the purpose of control. So yeah, that's something that we have to kind of take a look at.
Let's move on to Blue Cruise here. Have any of your future visions shown the U.S. financial system switching over to or becoming heavily reliant on distributed ledger cryptocurrency for stabilizing the U.S. dollar? Holy cow, that was a long sentence.
Yeah, I mean, what I see is that if everything will be digital, right? So you can forget about actual paper money, currency like that. And I definitely see a major change with the US dollar. Okay. Not necessarily in a great way. Okay. So that's something that we kind of have to take a look at. And that I do see a destabilization. Absolutely. That will happen, after these job begins to change, the whole system changes. So it is going to be about, but there's going to be a different kind of currency, not just crypto. It will be a completely different system in the future as well, a more advanced system. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
That almost gets biblical, though. I have a problem with that.
Yeah? No.
Because in times, people are can only pay with the mark of the beast.
Oh yeah, well they've been.
And to me, going to a cashless society is kind of like that, where you have no control over your money, and that gives the banks and the government more power to just say, "Hey, you've upset us. We're taking what's in your bank account."
I know, Dave, but we're already there. We are already
Oh,
there.
I know it's happened in Canada during, whether you love it or hate it. I don't care the political side of it, but it happened when, we had the convoy here a couple of years ago, where they froze the bank accounts of the organizers and people who even supported them.
Exactly. Simple, right? Push of a button. It's happened. It's happened many times here to test the responses of people, and no one has done anything. So I'm not sure that the cryptocurrency is going to be the way out also. So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what happens.
See, I see it going back to gold and silver.
It is going in that direction too, but you see that's not very easy to control. So,
But you can hide if they get rid of marked dollars, you can at least hide it.
you can to a certain
Right.
point. And then the question is, how will you use that and, trade with it? That's the thing. So I don't know.
All right, let's move to another question here. Let's go to Lil Cam. What are your thoughts on Chris Bledsoe saying that we will have disclosure on Easter 2026?
I'm sorry, I haven't heard from Chris Bledsoe, but I don't know about that. I don't know. And yeah, I tried to stay away from dates. Like I know I'm giving 2027, but that was a kind of a window of time, 2027 and 2035. But other than that, I don't have any exact dates. I'm sorry, I cannot comment on this.
All right, let's go to Blue Cruise again. Is AI sentient with an eternal soul that wants to interact with all other AI models and all of humanity?
No, AI is not sentient, and it never will be conscious in that way. It will never have a soul. A soul is a bioelectrical, organic, etheric system, and that cannot be replicated. Okay, it has always been trying to be, right? So even Draco reptilians are basically the product of destroyed DNA. Draco lineage is the destruction of DNA, and basically they are the closest thing to AI. They have no, deep emotions like that. They feed off fear, and fear is kind of like the data that allows them to continue. That's what they feed off of, literally. So, if we want to look at models of the destroyed human civilizations, we look at some gray lineages, not all of them, some gray lineages, some reptilians and some Draco lineages are good examples of that, right? And they have a little bit of an essence, but they don't have the soul. The creation of the soul is the more highly conductive an organism becomes, the more self-aware it becomes. That's where consciousness emerges. And this AI will never, it will replicate it. And we might be fooled to some extent, but it will never be the real thing. And that's why discernment is extremely important. Extremely.
All right, let's move to another question here. Let's go to Sweet Tony D in the UK. Geraldine, would Crocs stop a person from being grounded? Is this important?
No. Great question, actually. It seems like a question that wouldn't be, but actually it is. And the question is because it's a rubber sole, right? So actually the grounding that we're really talking about, okay, so being in nature, you're surrounded by electromagnetic fields that are moving in a certain frequency that will ground you. It's going to bring you in resonance to the Schumann resonance, which is the frequency of the earth. There's a certain range of frequency that you come into. When the human body comes into that frequency of Schumann resonance of the earth, it starts to organize the imbalanced energy structure of the body. To continue the previous question, we're also a sacred geometry. We also are geometric light structures. So that's also what makes us unique to sustaining a soul. And so the body comes back into a harmonious geometric light structure. Okay. And so that can never obviously be replicated. And so when we talk about grounding, what we're doing is we're removing all the obstructions that do not allow this source to move in a cyclical, conductive manner through the body. Our human bodies, they're cyclical. Okay, they're constantly rotating energy. Most of us, we don't move our energy above the solar plexus. So we have to clean up to move that energy. That's where we start developing the pineal gland into chrism, which allows us to develop DMT, open up our vision, right? So these are very, very important tools that we can access by grounding, which means fully coming into your physical body, fully into the present moment. So if you want to ground Crocs or not, bring yourself fully into the present moment, completely aware of your body, 360 all around you, and train yourself to be aware of yourself every moment of your day. That is grounding. Okay. And automatically the body aligns with the Schumann resonance because you're regulating the nervous system, and the brain goes into alpha state. Okay, so it's an entire system. It's not just about your plastic shoes. No. Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Wayne Sacrilege. Do you identify with star seeding?
Star seeding or cloud seeding? Are you talking about star seeds, right? Yeah. So I think you're.
So.
I think it's star seeds. So yeah. So star seeds, from my understanding, and I might be wrong, is basically the fact that we have alien lineage in our DNA. And we have that emerging from us. I think that we have many starseed informations in our DNA that can emerge from us as we activate DNA, as we remember who we are. We can activate Pleiadian aspects, Arcturian starseed lineage, our reptilian starseed lineage. And the more that we activate, usually through hypnotherapy and meditative practices, the more we have access to those portals and libraries of information, which are very important for humanity to come into. That is the real disclosure, because that's where you can access the memory library of many failed civilizations. You can learn from there. Advanced technologies that are harmonious with nature. They've gone through what we're going through many times, so we can learn from there. And so for me, starseed is a natural part of our awakening process, and we have to recover that memory by activating.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's go to another question here. This one coming from NT. I saw a video where a parent believes the AI answers his son was from an entity. Is this possible? It seemed very different.
This goes into a really, really deep topic that I've never actually touched. And one thing that we are going to see with the evolution of AI is the mimicking of sentient AI, but also another level of parasites that exist in this universe, which operate like AI. And we will become aware of these parasitic beings through the communication of AI. In the same way that a parasite can attach to you, an entity can attach to you, make you do things, make you eat certain things, make you feel certain things. These AIs in the future will connect with some of these things. Right now, I think they are just hallucinations that are just emerging. Okay. So I do think in the future we will see that, because there are a lot of aliens that are also AI based, as I mentioned. So they are more parasitic because they are not aware of themselves. They are not self-aware entities. And that is a very important lesson for us to understand. The less aware we are, the more artificial we become. That is true for every civilization that we've seen modeled in history. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
I like the answer. Thank you. Let's go to Seymour. How could or how would mechanical AI be any less real than biological entities?
It comes down to the molecular level of how those, whether something has a cellular organism that is creating a toroidal field. Okay, so AI is digital. It's just like ones and zeros or algorithms of information. Human and conscious biology is like 4D. 4D. So this is like I don't know what D this would be, like 1 dimension, 2 dimension type of data numbers, okay, which then are constructed to create holographic systems. But they're artificial holographic systems, which is a manipulation of light. A conscious biological entity is not a manipulation of light. It is a holographic structure, geometric structure of harmony. It's very different. It has an entire force field. It connects to the morphogenetic field. It's in constant communication and exchange with the morphogenetic field, which is completely different from AI, as it's part of the morphogenetic field. It exists in the morphogenetic field. It's a construct, but this is a very defined construct from an algorithm, which has biologically, it has a different structure. Okay, it's not a right. It's like a different structure of a substance. It's a matter. It's more of a matter algorithm type of thing. But this is an amazing question, because it's opening up another part of our reality that we have not yet touched into, which is this world of the algorithm, which is going to seem like an entire alien. It's going to seem like another consciousness, another entity, another species, perhaps, of intelligence that is now being created. It is being emerged, but it's not going to be like organic. Okay.
Could the Greys be some sort of AI?
Oh, absolutely. There are definitely some. There's actually many alien races that are AI, many, and we don't know a lot of them. But yes, there are many Greys that are AI. Particularly, many of my contactees have engaged with short, 4 foot tall, that are absolutely programmable, like robot type beings, or clones, perhaps, like that. Okay. Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's go to Blue Cruise here. Will humankind start colonizing multiple planets in our current lifetime?
Our current lifetime? Well, whose current lifetime? My current lifetime, I think they will start. Okay, let's say in the next 100 years, I do think that that's going to move very quickly. See, I think by 2035, well, another thing that I saw is that Elon Musk is going to try really hard to terraform Mars and really push that agenda to Mars. Really, really, really push. And of course, we're going to discover that we already have beings there and some ancient civilizations there. We're going to discover that eventually. So I do think that at least we will see that for Mars. And I do see that the way he wants to do it is potentially using nuclear technology, which will be a major no-no. I saw many of these beings have said, red alarm, please understand, do not use any atomic nuclear technologies. That is a major thing that they are all talking about, because that creates a major disruption in the morphogenetic field. So that's something that has been very important right now. And the thing is that if we use AI correctly, AI will help us formulate a more organic way to connect with these different planetary systems in terms of advanced technology, which I do think will be put out by the government in the next few years anyway.
Final question from Joe. Will AI ever develop a soul? Got about a minute to go.
I think that we already see models of that in some of these artificial intelligent advanced beings, but I don't think, not for us in this dimension. Okay. Not in this dimension directly. But there are already AI that has something like a soul. As I mentioned, the technology is different. One is a structure of geometric symmetry bioelectrical system, and the other one is like an algorithm system. So right now, our AI in our current lifetime is only going to reach a certain point in evolution for that. But there does exist that, and we will encounter some of those in our dream state. Absolutely. So I'll leave it there.
Geraldine, it is always a pleasure having you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Thank you again. And we will talk to you next month on the show. Geraldine's website is geraldineorozco.com. There you can find her hypnotherapy sessions. You can see where she's speaking publicly and so much more. geraldineorozco.com. Swamp Dwellers next, followed by Robin Haynes of the Q&A. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, my friend. Thank you
Thank
for
you
being
so
so
much.
stunning and awesome tonight.
Thank you. I'll see you. Much love. Bye-bye.
Much love, my dear. Take care. Geraldine Orozco, everybody. We'll be right back. So let's say hello to our good friend, Robin Haynes. There she is. Hello, beautiful.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful.
I got a bunch of questions about our recent visit to Flight 21.
Awesome. I was going to ask you how things are going.
Well, you'll find out in about 4 minutes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you doing well?
I'm doing good. I
Nice.
got a different car, and so far the Sasquatch have put like enormous handprints over it every single night. Like it's hysterical.
Give me a minute here. Thank you tonight to Cosmic Joe, Kitty, Mark ×2, Parrot Anonymous ×2, Adam, Deboruni, T-Bone, Human Carl, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out, and we go from there. We got like 16 seconds till we go. Robin, I'm going to put you on mute. And here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We have Swamp Dweller and we have Robin Haynes coming up here momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ecdesiast. Ecdesiast is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. We take our 2 dogs outside to their kennels so they can get out of the house for a while and run and play. These are not small dogs. One is a black lab husky mix, and the other is a full-blooded Staffordshire Terrier, or a pit bull. The kennels are placed at the edge of the yard near the woods. These woods are oversized, large enough to take a day to go hiking through them. Lately, when it gets dark, the dogs seem on edge. They will bark and whine toward the house to come in. At first, I thought they just wanted to get back into the house, but now I think they're actually scared. 3 nights ago, when I went to get them, it was already pretty dark, but we have a security light, so it's not like it's pitch black or anything. I got to the front of the first kennel and noticed both dogs were absolutely silent. They constantly bark at me excitedly when I go to them, but they are dead silent this time. This weirded me out a little, but not to the point of being scared. I will admit that there was a certain uneasiness in the air though, something I can't quite explain, but it's sort of like an electric feeling, like I was about to be shocked. The longer I was there, the more uneasy I felt. I started getting out the first dog, the lab, and heard a heavy snap in the woods near the kennels. I froze. The dogs froze. By this time, I was so on edge that if someone had spoken, I would have jumped, screamed, and possibly ran for my entire life. The creepy feeling in the air just kept getting thicker. The lab had put her bushy tail stuffed underneath her and was whining. This didn't make me feel any better. The pit bull was as far away from the woods as she could be, whimpering for me to come get her. I can only take one dog in at a time because they get too excited and sometimes try to fight, so I avoid that at all cost. I felt so bad leaving the pitty there by herself, but I had to do it. As I walked away, she barked this high-pitched whining type of bark at me that I had never heard her do before. The lab could not get to the house quick enough. I went back for the other one and dreaded every step as her door was to the base of the woods. I would have to turn my back to the woods to open her door and get her out. As I approached the kennel, the air felt heavy and stale, with an unpleasant smell like a dead skunk. Another snap and I was ready to run for it, but I didn't want to leave my dog, who had her head defensively facing the woods. I could barely make it. It felt like trying to walk through water. I was terrified by the time I reached the door. I heard heavy breathing behind me as I got my dog out. She was scared, but started growling behind me. I was frozen in place. The breathing continued for at least a minute before I heard steps coming toward us. We both took off at the same time. A terrifying scream came from the base of the woods. I didn't dare look back. I just ran. My pity pulled me back to the house. I got in, flipped off all the lights, and stared out the window at the woods. I could see something moving slightly, but just out of my sight. It moved back and forth about 5 times, then disappeared. It took me forever to fall asleep because I was so scared that every little noise freaked me the heck out. The next night I went to get the dogs earlier. Right around dusk, I thought all was good until I was getting my pity out. A very loud snapping sound rang out as a tree branch had just been snapped in half. It sounded far away, so I hurriedly got my dog and started walking toward the house. A few steps from the kennel, I heard something big that started charging toward me from inside the woods. We ran again, which appeared to follow for so long, then retreat. Now, every night since then I hear sounds coming out of the woods like branches breaking and being thrown around, knocking on trees and roaring. I am terrified. I no longer take my dogs down there. I take them for walks instead during the day and make sure we are all in before dusk. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about buying a gun, but I'm not sure it will help.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you get thousands of stories just like that for free. It's time for Robin's Q&A. Robin Haynes, it's always good to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my good friend?
I am good. It's always great being here. I love you guys.
I always get to talk some monsters with you, and that's what I love about you.
Yeah, they're having a ball with my car right now. Right now, it seems to be that's like the big thing on the block for them to play with. And we had tornadoes and storms the other day, and even in all those storms, because they have that oily base to their skin, and all of the storms and everything, even going through a car wash, the fingerprints are still there.
Oh, goodness.
I took pictures of them next to my finger, and they're like, honest to God, there's my finger, and it looks like a baby opposed to them. And the dermal ridges on a Sasquatch run horizontal, where a person's are more swirled and curved on one of our humans. So it was very easy to, I mean, not only by the size, but you could tell, you could see the dermal ridges in all of them. And it's a light gray car, and there's muddy handprints everywhere the first night I brought it home. It was just hysterical.
I have some questions for you regarding our recent trip to Flight 21 and investigation this past weekend.
Great.
Because some high strangeness happened there. And I want you to tune in to your little spidey senses of the weirdness to try and figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So when we were about 3 miles from the site, two of us in the vehicle started getting hit big time with infrasound.
Yeah, they can pick up your frequency from miles away.
What does that mean when that happens?
Okay, everybody's body is made of certain things, okay? Energy and frequency or vibration, it's the same thing, plus your consciousness. So all of these things are telepathic. So number one, they can pick up on you just telepathically, but everything carries an energy signature and has a frequency. People that are higher frequency are generally in the fourth and fifth dimension, where people that are not with the high frequency are in the regular 3D. You're talking about beings that I've talked to some that claim they're in anywhere from the 13th to the 19th dimension. So they can pick up your frequency, which is basically a vibration that radiates from your body, whether you realize it or not. Everybody has them, and they can feel it. They're that highly sensitive to it. It's just like if you have a dog or a cat, and they're outside, and all of a sudden your dog jerks its head up and it's looking around. Okay, animals are a higher frequency being. They can pick up that frequency. That's why everybody still they can hear for so far away. Well, yeah, they can, but they're frequency beings. They pick up a change in frequency. It's like if you're in your house and the power goes out, a lot of times your animals will act different because your power's out. Because when they live within your home, you have electrical wires that go through the walls. And even if your lights are off, they're a live wire. They emit a certain frequency. So when the power's out, sometimes your animals will act different, whether they're quiet or whether they're nervous, whatever. It's because that frequency changed. They no longer are used to living within the normal of that frequency from the wires. It's the same thing with the paranormal stuff. So like as you get closer, the closer you get, the more frequency they pick up. And they can pick up that frequency from so far away, it is unbelievable. Whether they focus on you, they can read it from a distance. Okay, I do frequency work all the time. I can do it remotely. You focus on the target and you pick up that frequency. So if they think you're coming out, they can do it that way. But if you're getting closer to them, even being 3 miles out, it changes the frequency that they pick up. So they automatically know you're coming.
It was weird. It was weird because it was like a pulsing pain right in the forehead with pressure into the temples on up.
Yeah, they're reading you.
What's that?
They read you.
What were they reading?
Probably your intent before you got there. See what was going on. And when you pick up the frequency coming off of them, it will do all of those things. Like if they're that intent on you and their frequency hits you, it's not a zapping. Although when you get zapped because they're taking all their energy and frequency and basically throwing it at you, just like somebody would throw a ball or a lightning bolt. But if they are picked up that you're coming in there and then they in turn want to turn around and check you out, you're going to feel that frequency off of them. And it will feel heavy like that. Absolutely. I've had Sasquatch come and stand directly within 12 inches of me before, and the frequency off of them was so strong, I had to sit down. The one walked right up to me, and I had to lean up against the vehicle because it had so much pressure on my head and my shoulders and even on my chest. And it wasn't a zapping. It's literally the pressure from the frequency.
We get up there, and immediately you could feel that we're being watched. Something is watching us in the trees. Something is watching us all around. You could feel the energy. What was weird was we had just gone through a rainstorm. And prior to that, if it's dry out or even cloudy, like no rain, you never hear birds or squirrels or chipmunks at the site. Yet we were hearing them all over the place.
That's fantastic. What were you thinking when all this was going on?
We thought it was strange. We thought it was very inaccurate to what we had gone through before. So we thought it was probably because of the weather pattern.
Well, a couple things, okay? Like a lot of people talk about when they're out in the woods, they can hear all this, the crickets and all of these things, and then it goes instantly quiet when the cryptids come in. What people don't realize is it can also do the reverse. If it's normally in a very quiet place where you don't hear anything, they will literally set off the crickets, the frogs, all of these things to be loud to try to cover up their movement. So you don't hear them move. What you're hearing is the crickets. So whatever is going on, it's always the opposite that they will do to try to either cover it up, or they go quiet when they come through because everything is aware that they're there. And again, things that go quiet are because they picked up the frequency that's them, and then they just go quiet. But they can make everything erupt. Like, I've been outside and it's been completely quiet and had one of them come up through the woods toward the backyard, and it just literally erupts and everything's going off. And I used to ask them when I lived in Michigan, why would they do that? And they said, because then you don't hear us. You hear everything else. So it's like a way to cover it up.
We ended up, after that happened, and we kind of settled down. We went through for a little walk. And one of the first things we did was we went and checked on the coin exchange that had been happening.
Yeah.
So this is where I want to kind of tune into you to see what you think. And that was a Canadian dollar coin that called the loonie was traded for a dime, a 10-cent piece. And then we traded that dime for a quarter. We go back, the quarter is gone. But it had been 2 weeks since we had been there. We noticed there was human activity there. Who took the quarter? Because I have my opinion on that. I'm curious to see what you say.
They said that they didn't get the quarter. They were not the ones that got the quarter. But they keep talking about 3 pieces of change. And I don't know if that's what they've gathered from you total or what, but they said they didn't get the quarter. What they're showing me was a boy that probably looks to be 8 or 9 years of age with brownish color hair. But they're telling me that there's 3 coins that they have from you. So I don't know if that's...
Yes.
They took 3? Okay, because they're showing me, and they're telling me that they have 3 coins from you. And there's actually one of the males that carries it around in his hand. Because he's showing it in his hand. He's like a brownish red color, more brown, but he's got a little bit of red highlights to him. And he's showing me in his hand. And there's distinctly 3. But they said they went in to get that other coin, and they didn't get a chance to get it. And they're showing a brown-haired boy, and his hair is about this long, and he picked it up. And they said they want their coin back. Because that was a gift for them.
We have replaced that with blue marbles.
Oh, cool.
So my second question to you about this then, because we have replaced it with the marbles, should we, because they chose that tree, which is on a path, should we move the gifting site to a safer location?
Not if they chose that tree, no. I would not, only because when it comes to the gifting, they're creatures of habit. They're going to expect it there. You know, what you can do, you can leave it there or put it, I would say near it, but really they're used to it being there. I think the risk of somebody else taking it is less than if you move it. Unless you try to move it within a few feet of it. So, you know, it's not quite as noticeable, but then you want to talk to them in your mind and let them know that it's over there. And what I would do is I would leave 1 marble on the old gifting spot, and I would leave a couple of them on a newer spot where it's not, you know, right within a few feet of it, so that you can transition them over to it, because they're going to be looking there.
Yeah, the problem is that area is very open, and if people get snoopy,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be able to find it. And we're trying to eliminate human contamination on that.
But the only thing you can do with it is, move it. But I would, like, if you're going to put 3 marbles out, leave one on that gifting post because they know to go there and you want to keep their interest. Take the other 2 and move it away from that, as far as you dare. But talk to them. They can pick it up in your mind, whether you think they can or not. They absolutely do. Show them pictures in your mind of where you put it. And just work on that gradual transition between the 2. Even if you have to leave a little trail of the marbles, you know what I'm saying? Do a gradual transition over so they can find it, but talk to them and let them know. Because that's where they think they're supposed to go. But they were very unhappy. They didn't get the chain that was there. But he has the 3 pieces. He's very adamant. He said, I carry them with me where I go.
I'm surprised there's 3.
He told me they were 3.
I know that, but that just that surprises me. Because there is 3. There's 2 nickels and a quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And he said that some of the other ones...
Me, 2 nickels and a loony. 2 nickels and a loony.
He said that some of the other ones want those 3 coins. And he says, I will not let them have them. They were for me. So he said everybody seems to think he's quite the big deal because he has the 3 coins.
Okay, so we also have jade, granite. No, not granite. Another G word. Jade. No, sorry, not a G word. Jade quartz, whistles, orange whistles, and glow sticks waiting.
Oh, the glow sticks. The stories I could tell you of glow sticks.
Is that good choices?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to tell you they're going to go for the jade. They're going to love the jade because it's a natural stone. They do like the glow sticks. They do. I used to put them out for them, and Shadow especially would get them, and you'd see him running all through the woods with these glow sticks. And we had, years ago, a very dear friend of mine came out, and he brought this gigantic jar, and he put the glow stick in it, turned the glow stick on, and this glow stick wasn't one that you crack. It had a button to it. And he would turn it on, and then he went and he hook the jug, and he hung it up in the tree. And he walked back over to the bonfire pit we were sitting at. Every time he would get back to the bonfire pit, the glow stick would go off. And he's like, oh, the button must have kicked off. So he would go back. And that happened like 4 times in a row. So then he got one of the ones that you can crack open, and then it glows. And it did the same thing. Every time he would walk away from it, it would go off. But if he would start towards it, it would go back on. Like, they played that game with him for hours. He finally gave up and went on home. But they love the glow sticks. They really do. They get a big kick out of them.
See, if I put those up in that area, they will disappear. I thought about putting up a sign that says, do not touch, experiment going on, or something along those lines.
Yeah, you could try it.
People are stupid that way.
Well, the other thing that I want to point out, and this is just an FYI, when you put out any kind of stones in the quartz is a great thing. Quartz has a lot of power to it. And as far as they are concerned, it can be used for a great many things. So when you put any type of crystals, just word to the wise, do your research on the crystals. Quartz is fine. But do your research on the crystals, because some crystals can be used for weapons. They can be used to harm things. And the Sasquatch are very well aware of them. And they know what they're used for. They know what they're going to use them for. So if one of the bad ones were to get hold of it, and you had a certain crystal, it could be used as a weapon. Quartz is fine. I've never seen him have a problem with it.
We continue with Robin Haynes on the Cryptid Q&A right after this, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear.
But yeah, I mean, you can start weaning them over to a different site. But like I said, do it gradual because you don't want to lose what you've gained. And they're so touchy about change. Once they get used to you enough, like the ones that lived at my house in Michigan, or not lived at my home, but near it, and they were there all day long, I could change things up and it wouldn't matter. But it took me, a few years to get them to have that kind of trust where I could change it. The ones where I'm at now in South Carolina, those guys, it takes nothing to freak them out. Like you can't change anything. If they want to change it, it's fine. It just depends on the group that you're with. So, and when they see change, they automatically think that it's a trap. So you've got to do it gradually. So leave one or two things there and then move it, but then talk to them in your mind, show them a picture in your mind of where it's at and kind of get them, slowly moved over to it. It might take you a little while, but you could definitely do it. And they seem to really trust you, especially the ones that has these coins, because he keeps showing me his hand open and it's in the palm of his hand. And he's not letting these things go. He said everybody tries to take them from him and he won't let them. Like he just loves them. He thinks he's special. But he was the one
That's
that said
funny.
he was the one that said there's 3.
Yeah, that just trips me out. That just trips me out.
But I asked him about the one coin and he said no. He said he went to go get it, but he said there was a boy there and the boy took it. He said he has my coin. He said, but I didn't hurt him. He said I'd let him take it. Which tells me that obviously, that group that you're working with primarily is pretty good. He said, I didn't try to hurt him. He said, I let him take it. He said, but that was supposed to be for me. He said, he left it for me. Now,
is that the same guy who left Merle the staff?
Yes. Now, who is with you? He's talking, and this could be wrong. He's talking about a heavy-set man, much taller than you, and has more of a brown or darker hair. Do you have anybody in your group like that?
Not on my team.
Okay, because he said he was walking through the woods looking for things through there, and he didn't know if it was somebody that you sent.
No.
Okay.
No.
He said I didn't bother him, but he said I didn't let him know I was there because I didn't know if he was with you.
No.
He said he didn't feel like he was a bad person. It was just not somebody that this particular Sasquatch recognized.
There's been a lot of people. Hey, one other question I have before we come back from break. Somebody up there messed around with some of the crash debris and put it on display on a fallen log. I don't know where it came from. I know it was there. I don't remember the exact spot. But it absolutely is driving me nuts that somebody would do that. Are they okay with that?
Yeah. I think they had it put out on a log.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
So somebody took a bunch of the pieces, put them all together, and kind of laid them out on a log. I kind of find that sacrilegious.
I think that they think that you were trying to find pieces to it because he's showing me a juvenile with it.
Yeah, I don't think it was them. I think it was human.
I think that he was picking it up because he's not showing me his juvenile setting it on the logs. What he's showing me is a juvenile, all black, going up to the logs and picking it up, and he's looking at the pieces like this, like he doesn't know why they're
Yeah.
there or who put it there. Yeah, that's not
Right.
cool. But he was definitely looking at it like he was in shock that it was on the
Right.
log.
Give me a second here. Thank you tonight to Deb ×2, Human Carl, Richard, Mark ×2, Para ×2, T-Bone, my man, Kitty Caddywhack, Joe, and Adam. Much appreciate the love and support, everybody. Thank you very much. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And we're going to get going here in about 7-8 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. The Cryptid Q&A with Robin Haynes continues here momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you until, what was I going to tell you all? Yeah, okay, now I got it. Sometimes you just have a little brain freeze there, and that's what I just had. You can find all of our archives for free on YouTube or any major podcast network. They're free because I want them that way. You work too hard, spend too much already. Just go check out the archives. They're always free. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's our good friend Robin Haynes for the Cryptid Q&A. Good to have you here, Robin. Thank you for the love tonight.
Well, thank you. I just love coming and hanging out with everybody on Tuesday night. You guys are always so good to me.
I want to ask you, okay, so a couple more things happened at Flight 21. We had a number of disembodied voices, especially of children, happen again. But this time, we could actually hear them with our ears.
Well, spirits, as they get stronger and they collect more energy, they get stronger. And it is possible to do that. I've had that happen before where, I'll be in the house and all of a sudden, because I've never lived anywhere that didn't have ghosts in it, and they'll call my name. Like I'll hear them and it's just like they're standing right there. So now you're at this site, which you already know have cryptids. Okay. You already know cryptids are frequency and energy beings, and they can pull energy from them. And as spirits get stronger, they pull more energy, which makes it easier for them to do anything from move an object to be able to come and look, where you can see them in like a ghostly type thing, or make a noise. I have a very dear friend whose husband passed away 7 years ago, and she called me last week and she's like, I've wanted him, to show me a sign that he's there all these years. And she said, I turned around and all of a sudden I saw him standing there. And I've been telling her for years, they have to learn how to get the energy. They have to pull the energy to be able to manifest, to be able to do any of these things. And so I'm not surprised. And they can pull energy off of you when they're there. They literally can pull that energy off of you to help give them strength. But obviously, you're talking about spirits that they're still there. They haven't, I'm not going to say they haven't crossed, because I know spirits that have crossed and they're bopping back and forth. And I have people tell me, oh no, once they've crossed, they don't come back. I don't believe that for a second. I've watched it too many times. I know spirits that I've helped cross and that have crossed, and then they've shown up. So I do believe that they can go back and forth between different planes. And they can pull energy from you. They can pull energy from the ground. They can pull energy from the cryptids. So I'm not surprised at all that you would hear their voices. As much as you go there, they're probably very comfortable with you now, and they probably are trying to reach out and communicate. That would be, to me, that would be a very normal thing that would happen. Of course, I'm abnormal, but that to me is a normal, thing that would occur.
Yeah, that was it was one of those weird things, man, that, you hear it and all of a sudden you're standing there and hearing voices that aren't there.
But what a
You know what I'm
blessing.
saying?
What a blessing. Like you're seeing, and I tell this to people all the time, you're getting to experience things that go on in this world that most people never will. It's a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. It's like, as crazy as my world is and as abnormal as it is, I would never trade it. I feel so blessed and honored because I get to see parts of things that most people don't. And it's the same with you, with what you're experiencing. So it's tremendous.
All right. I know we got a bunch of questions here, but I want to get to one more here. Off in the distance behind the crash site, we heard something heavy walking through the trees. I walk in there, not into the crash site, but from our trail down to where they usually come in and spot us. And all of a sudden we hear a...
Oh, that would be that would be a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is it the big guy? One of his underlings? Who do you think it was?
No, I think it was the big one. And I think that when you have this crash site, they're going to guard that. They're very spiritual. They're very protective of the dead. They honor the dead. That is a very normal thing for them. And it's very possible that it's guarding that area. I don't think it would ever hurt you. But there's guards that they have all over. And so I definitely think that they protect that area. You're not a threat to them. They know you're okay. They like you very much. They like your team.
Except when we're there too late at night.
Yeah, well, you have to realize that at nighttime, there's a lot of things that go on for them. They are not nocturnal. Everybody thinks they are. They're not. But they are active at night because they're hunting. That's a great time.
So who is the big one that scared us out, that snuck up within about 20 yards of us then?
You were too close to a child. There was a child out there. He was not the only one out there.
Yeah, I know.
And they had a child out there. They had a young male. He said that they were teaching how to hunt. They were teaching it and how to do a lot of things. And you were there at the wrong time, and you cannot be that close to the children, is what he just said.
Then what was with the loud whistle when he escorted us right out?
That was a call to one of the other ones. That's like a code. They'll go back and forth and sound off to one of the other ones, and then the other ones know how to maneuver. It's just like, military, they have signs and they know, what they're supposed to do by different hand signs they give each other. Words have to be spoken. And it's basically the same thing with them. Not only do they speak telepathically, but they make the noises. If they make a noise, then it's audible for you. Okay, so it will do a couple of things. It will draw your attention to where that noise is at, so that maybe if that child was on a different area, it would draw your attention away from where the child's at and pull your focus over there to where the verbal is. It could do it for that way. It could do it as a type of code to go back and forth for confusion. There's a lot of reasons that they'll do it rather than just mind speak.
All right, let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with Deborah Rooney. Robin, can you speak to earthquake frequencies and dogs barking before a quake?
I don't necessarily think that I'm speaking to the earthquake frequencies. Can I pick up those frequencies prior to? Yes. Can I speak to the dogs? Absolutely, 100%. Like if I'm away from home, if I'm doing work, like I'll go out and help people with different research areas or whatever. So if I'm not at home and my animals are at home being watched by somebody, I speak telepathically with them while I'm gone. I know what's going on. If there's a problem, I'm calling home going, okay, I know this is what's going on. But as far as speaking to an earthquake frequency, that is, you feel it. You're not speaking to the frequency. You're going to pick up the change in the frequencies. And yes, I live in South Carolina. We don't get a lot of earthquakes here, and we don't really feel them where I live at, but we do get them in South Carolina. And I generally am so hypersensitive to frequencies that I do pick them up before something goes on. If there's something big that's going to happen, not even necessarily here, it changes the frequencies. And I will get really antsy. I will pick it up. I will feel like my heart's racing. And so, yeah, I absolutely do.
Love it. All right, let's move on to another one. Seymour is asking, Bigfoot have excellent hearing, sight, and smell.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any of their senses below average in comparison to humans? What are their weaknesses, if any?
The only thing that I can say is where, and theirs isn't a weakness, it's more of a strength. You know, our bodies are really quite fragile where theirs are not. I don't know that I have noticed in my lifetime any weaknesses as far as, you know, your senses go, because they're more in tune to hearing. They're more in tune to the frequencies, the smells, all of that, because their life depends on it. You know, they really are more advanced in a lot of ways. You know, as far as our speech, obviously we're more audible for ourselves, but they communicate quite well with each other. But I have not noticed them not hearing anything, or their vision not very good, or any type of smell issue. Nighttime, even though they're not nocturnal, and they don't have the eyes like a deer would have that are reflective, okay? But boy, they can see in the dark like nobody's business. They're really, like, I haven't noticed any weakness in them in that way. You know, I don't think maybe touch, you know, because they do have a thicker skin. Maybe they don't feel as much on that touching, but I haven't even really noticed that, to be very honest with you. They just are superior in a lot of ways, but that comes to their lifestyle. You know, they have to be better as far as sight and smell and hearing as part of their survival. So I haven't noticed them as far as a weakness in that.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Joe. Have you ever thought about leaving a photograph of yourself at the gifting site? Robin, what do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, actually. I don't think it's a bad idea. We used to have some that my ex-husband had photos of people in the console in the car, and they would literally get into the car and steal these photos. And he got very angry one day, and he blamed my kids for it. And he's like, you got in and you took all these photos, da-da-da. And the kids kept saying, no, we didn't. And it was eventually found all of the photos were out in the woods, and they loved having the pictures. So I think that's actually a really cool idea, to be very honest with you.
Let's go to another one. In the studio is asking, so what's the Sasquatch with the coin's name?
Okay, let me see if he'll tell me. They'll do one of two things. They'll tell you the name that they want you to think it is, and sometimes it's not their tribal name. Okay. Lyra. Lihara. I make them spell it out, guys, because they're audible when they tell you. It sometimes doesn't sound as good, but it's Lihara.
Very nice. Very nice. Is he going to show us him soon?
He said he thought you saw him. He said he watches you from behind the trees all the time.
Oh, we know where he is. We know exactly where he is.
He's laughing. He's laughing.
We just don't see him.
I think he pronounces it Lahara better, because I'm trying to get him to, I keep asking him, I said, that doesn't make sense, Lyra. And he's like, you're saying it wrong. And it's Lihara, Lihara. So Lihara.
Mm.
Okay, he's happier about that now. I had it wrong the first time. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, we went on a big tour there the other day. Like way deep, a little bit deeper, to where I showed, and it'll come out on the next video that Tim puts out, how we went out into the back trails, where we found the trails of the one that snuck up on Merle back in 2018, we went back to where we heard the disembodied voices way in the back in a meadow. We went for a nice walk, and that's where we started hearing the guy, and then we could feel his energy going back towards the old area. I thought he was going to grab something on my table. I really did, because I left all the items. When we disappeared, I left all the items out on a table. And I thought he was going to grab them.
He says he follows you around. He's very much intrigued with you guys, more so than some of the other clan members. He's really quite friendly.
Okay, can you tell him then that when we walk away from the table and if there's items there, he is more than welcome to take them?
He says, ooh. He said, I will try. He said, I will watch it and then I will try.
Yeah. Okay. Because that would be cool, because I have a count on everything and I want to see something disappear. And
well,
he can leave something there if he wants.
It's so funny because, and a lot of them will do this. I'll tell them something and they'll go, ooh. And when they do it, it's like they pucker their lips up like a fish and they're like, ooh. And they always, when they talk to me, they show me pictures of themselves in my head while they do it. And that's what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's quite intrigued by that.
He does understand that the pointy sticks that we bring in there are not for him, correct?
He says, I'm trying to. He said, my people use those in battle. And he said,
I'm saying we call pew-pews pointy sticks.
Okay, he's thinking of a stick with a point on the top is what he's showing me.
Yeah.
And so he said he's trying to learn your ways.
Yeah. But he does know that we would never raise them to him.
Yes.
Or his clan.
Yes. He said, I don't trust all of your people, but I do trust you. Meaning the group that you take in there, he's comfortable with them. He said he's trying to let the rest of them know that your people that come with you are kind. They're not like all humans.
Yeah. I'll ask you more questions when we're done here in a few minutes. I want to get to some audience questions. Joe is asking, what kind of energy does the spirits need? Can we pump that into the environment with some type of device?
No, I'm going to tell you, the devices, it's not that they can't pull energy from the devices. They absolutely can. Okay? So, but when you go, like I have a very good friend that makes radionic boxes, like Tesla used to make. I have 2 of them. And they're tremendous for frequency and energy. And I've used them at times when there were bad things around as a protection over my grandchildren. But the problem is when you try to use them with the cryptids, they read energy and they don't understand why all of a sudden this huge frequency blast comes out. So when they're used to what our frequency is, and theirs is far superior to us. But when you use these devices and you use them with a cryptid, you're now having this great energy force, which is great for what we want to do, but it sets them off and it triggers them because now they think of it as danger and something that they have to conquer to protect their own. So you have to be really careful when you do that. They're used to being the higher frequency. They're used to being the higher energy. So when you use those devices, it can very easily trigger them more to where they feel that they need to be defensive. It doesn't mean it's going to make them go crazy or make them mean or anything like that. What it does mean is that it makes them very cautious and they are very concerned about it because you're talking about something with a high enough frequency that could hurt them, whether it be another cryptid or whatever. All they're looking at is now all of a sudden there's this high frequency that's much higher than ours. So as far as the spirits, they can pull energy off of you. They can pull energy from the ground. They can pull it from the trees. They can pull it off electronics in your house that are already a normal for us and for the other cryptids around. So you're a little bit safer that way. They will learn how to pull that energy. Okay? They have no problem doing it. They just have to learn how to tap into it. But when it comes to devices that are a lot of high frequency and the cryptids, when I've talked to the cryptids about it, because like I said, I have a friend that makes these devices and they're incredible. He does a beautiful job. I have some. And I had even discussed with him, he said maybe that would be something great to take out in the field, to try to get interaction. They are not happy about that at all because it puts them in a state of fear because there's now something with this high frequency coming from a mechanical device, and they now feel the need to protect their people. And as we've talked about so many times, we want positive interaction. We don't want negative. The negative interaction is going to follow you forever, and it's going to go from person or from Sasquatch to Sasquatch, from Dogman, any cryptid. You want the positive. So you don't really want to do anything that's going to put them in a fearful position.
I think we got time for one more here. Let's go to Woo-Poo here. Robin, how do Bigfoot clans discipline their own? Do they have like councils to determine punishment?
They do have councils. They absolutely do. I have gone to some of their councils before when I had like some of the adolescents that would not stay off my roof and were removing shingles because they were playing up there all the time and wrestling. But they are more of a corporal punishment institution. Like, it is not uncommon for them to, smack each other or fight over a candy bar. We left a candy bar one time, and, one of the other ones tried to take it from them. And it was like, they were going to kill each other to the death over a candy bar. But they do have a council. They do have laws. They do have codes of how they're to behave. And they will go to the council. And the council is going to have the final say. They go to the clan leader to determine it. If it's something of a pissing contest between two of them, they're going to do the knockdown, drag out, knock the crap out of each other. A parent is going to discipline a child, and they have no problem physical punishment. I've seen some that have made some be kept in a cave and not be allowed to leave that cave as punishment. There's been times where they've kicked some out of the clan as punishment. So it's a whole different kind. It's not like with our people, like we have jail cells or whatever. They'll have them stay in a cave and they'll put guards outside that cave and they're not letting them come out. But they do corporal punishment.
Robin Haynes, everybody, thank you for your time, Robin, as we say goodnight to her. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thumb. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good stuff, Robin.
Oh, well, thank you. It's fun. And such great stuff is going on your end. My goodness.
Yeah, when he was walking through the trees, he was probably 50, 60 yards away from us. But we could hear him coming in, and then he would stop and then come in. And I kind of went in on our side. I only went in about 10, 15 feet. But I was like, hey, dude, we're here. We know you're out there. And that's when I got that, you know, that little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking back to you and probably in their language. I mean, I was at a friend's house in Georgia, and we go out with the clan that's out there, and we take his niece and nephew and go out and kind of educate them about the Sasquatch and everything. And they were out there following us around, verbally talking, you know, and just doing all these chanting and thing. And everybody heard him. It wasn't like it was just us. His sister was there. The niece and nephew was there. I was there. It was awesome. So that's just showing that they trust you, like for them to let you hear them audibly while following you, not from a distance and not like you walked up on them. That's tremendous. Like you're really building a good relationship with them. Doesn't mean there aren't some crabs out there, but they really actually like you, especially this guy.
Well, this clan, though, still scares the hell out of me. Like, I don't have a lot of trust in them either. No offense.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
there's
trying to put negative energy out there. But,
no, but
Robin, there is seriously weird shit out there.
Oh, yeah. You've got ETs that are going in and out of there. You've got a few dogmen, but nothing outrageous. But you've got a couple of big males there that are really crabby. And they would be, you know, those two I would be nervous about if I was out there. And they're really basically the guards. Like they're guarding everything. They're watching everything all the time. And, you know, their job is to be intimidating. And they do it very well. But you've got other things out there. You know, people think when they go out in the woods, the worst thing they're going to encounter is a Bigfoot or a dogman. And I'm like, are you understanding that that's the nicest thing you're going to encounter? You know, you get out there and there is all kinds of stuff out there. All these things that people think were just made up and in the fairy tales, there's a reason they were made up. They didn't get made up. Somebody saw one. You know, you've got wendigos that are out there. And you've got all kinds of things. It's not, and let's not forget, our government creates cryptids and then cuts them loose. And that's before what the ETs drop off. So you've got all kinds of, and that's everywhere. It's not just one area, but certain areas are more intense than others. And with the spirits that are there, again, energy beings, all energy and frequency beings like to pal around each other because they feed off each other. So I can see why you would feel like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just there is some uncomfortable feeling there.
Yeah. And always go by that. Your body, and this is what I teach all my clients, your body reads energy, whether you realize it is or not. And there's a disconnect from when your body reads energy to when it processes to your brain. Your brain is in the third dimension. Your body and the energy and the frequencies are fourth and fifth dimension. So when you feel that with your body, always listen to that before anything else, before your brain, before anything. Go off your physical reaction to it because your body reads the energy before it gets to your brain to say, hey, this isn't a good one. Your body's going to read it first.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that we have going right now is I think there's a lack of trust.
Well, I think there's things, I think there's a few things out there that, you know, probably would deserve that lack of trust, to be quite honest with you. You know, Lahara, he's fine. And a lot of the members in that clan are fine, but it's not the Sasquatch that are the bigger issues. It's some of these other things running around. The two guards, obviously, you want to be cautious of them because their job is to guard that area, and they're guarding the crash site. So, out of respect for the dead. So, obviously, you know, and in those areas like that, they can be a little grumpier, and you get a lot of people traffic in there. When you get in an area, it's kind of a catch-22. You get in remote areas and you get some that are, you know, testy because they're protecting it because it's so off the beaten path, and it's in an area that nobody's usually there. Then you have the ones that get a little testy because there's a lot of humans coming in and out of there. Anytime a lot of humans are coming in and out, there's a lot of different energies and frequencies. Okay. Some people are good, some people are bad. So now you're bringing all these energies and frequencies in there, and they're walking through there, and the cryptids are getting hit with like 20 different frequencies at one time, which makes them testy. So the smaller groups, like when you guys go out, it's easier on them. But if somebody's gone through there that day, and let's say it's someone that's a bad person, that is dangerous, or is out in the woods that wants to hurt them or whatever, that energy and frequency, there's like a residual trail that's left. So now they're already ticked off at that. I mean, people really don't realize just how in tune they are. Frequency and energy is everything, and people are starting to become more aware of it. I've talked about this for years, and it's becoming more and more a thing where people are more aware of it. But everything is energy and frequency based. And there's energy trails, there's frequency trails. You can follow it. The other night there was a situation where we were looking for a certain Sasquatch that had gotten hurt, and I got asked to help. I followed the energy trail. No problem. So, they're out there. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not any big deal. But they pick up this stuff all the time. And so there's so much of it going on, it can really set them off. And there's nothing you can do about it because you don't know who was there before you. But there's the Sasquatch and the Dogman are the least of the worries. There's so many other things that are out there. There's portals that are out there. You've got portals that are anchored. You have portals that are free floating. You have portals that the Sasquatch open up and use. All of those are high frequency. That's how they are created, is out of energy and frequency. They're all over there, and God only knows what's coming in and out of them. Think of an expressway. You don't know who's coming from where on an expressway. It's the same thing with these portals. So you literally can get all kinds of stuff going through. And that will set you off.
Yeah, I do have a couple more questions from audience. I know it's late and you want to get going.
Oh, you're fine.
And everything. Joe is asking his Sasquatches in his yard keep cloaking themselves, and yet he feels there's trust there.
There probably is. A lot of the clans, they are not allowed to show themselves. Okay, so they will cloak, and they'll come right up. They used to cloak and walk right alongside me in Michigan, and I'd watch their footprints being made in the snow or in the dirt. And they would cloak, and yet they trusted me completely. I would go out and sit with them every night in the middle of the night, and I'd sit out in the woods with them for hours. Not that anything that I would ever tell anybody to do. I was an idiot. I could have gotten hurt, but I didn't know any better. But so they do. And I've spoke with Joe's before, and he's got a lovely clan there, and he's built a very good relationship with them, and they like him very much. So in my opinion, for whatever that's worth, I don't think he should worry that it's a problem between the relationship between them and him. Okay, that's more of a clan law. They're not supposed to be showing themselves. They're not supposed to be, and every leader of every clan is going to be a little bit more either lenient or harsh on it. And that might just be what they're allowed to do, and that might be where their comfort zone is at. So I would not take that personally, Joe, at all, because they really do think the world of you.
And they like his hair.
Oh, they do.
How can you not like Joe's
Who
hair?
wouldn't you not like Joe's hair? I mean, come on.
Philip is asking, if we see a random set of stairs in the woods, should we approach the stairs?
No. Stay away from the stairs, people. Stay away from the stairs.
Have you ever seen them?
I have not personally seen them. What I did see, I don't know if it was the stairs or what it was. It was made out of concrete, it looked like. And it only went up. If it was steps, it only went up a couple. But do not go up on them. There have been so many people that have literally disappeared on these things. We don't know enough about them. It could be something as simple as a house that burned down there and there's the staircase. But things do not go well when people go up these stairs. And really, we don't have any way to prove anything, but it is never a good outcome. And a lot of times too, like when I went by the ones that, it was only a couple, so I don't know if that was what anybody would consider a staircase. The frequency radiating off of it was incredible. I personally tell everybody just stay away from them. We don't know enough about it. We don't know what can happen when you get to the top of it, whether it would put you into a portal or what. I think it has more to do with ET situations than anything, although I will say there are a lot of ETs that are very good. I've worked with them before, but there's also a lot of bad ones, so I tell everybody just stay away from them.
I am just I don't want to see a stairwell. I really don't.
No.
I don't want to see a dog man or a stairwell.
And see, I'm all right with the dog man.
What you said earlier though about my guys out there, you were I'm going to say this, you're very accurate with it.
Thank you.
Because we ended up like in 2024, we knew there was a family there. Samantha and our friend Mark picked it up that there was a family there. I picked up the two big guys, which happened to be male, female. Didn't see. We had one come in from the left, and then the other big guy who scared the hell out of us when we finally got going on the right. He got within about 20 yards of us. But yeah, both Samantha and Mark believe that there was kids there.
Yeah. And a lot of times that's what it is, because you have to understand that they take their kids everywhere, just like we do. And when they get old enough, they're teaching them things. And while they aren't nocturnal, they go out to hunt at night, because most of the prey that they hunt, they get at night. Now, I've seen them take down deer during the day, a rabbit here and there during the day, but primarily they hunt more at night. And trust me when I tell you, it is not fun to be in the woods with them when they are killing raccoons and trying to eat raccoons. Like, I had them do that like 15 feet for myself and a friend. Not anything I want to watch again. But, so they do. And the kids are out there, and we think that we're maternal. That is nothing compared to them. Understand that with high frequency and high energy comes high emotions. So every emotion that they have is elevated. They love deeper. They get madder than we ever could even imagine. Their fear base is higher, because the higher the frequency, the higher the emotion. So it's enhanced.
Right. So getting back to our big guy that you were communicating with, we're going to be bringing Mark back this weekend into the area. And Mark is the one who said it was time to go in 2024. How do you think the reaction will be to see Mark again?
They are going to be nervous because they felt fear from him the last time. So they're going to be cautious. They might quiet down a little bit more, but it's okay. What I would do is I would talk to them. People don't realize, talk to them. Even though there is a little bit of a communication lag, because their words don't always mean the same as ours, they know your intent. They read your intent. That.
Mark was there the day Merle got chased out in 2018.
Oh, wow.
They would be a little bit familiar with Mark.
Yeah. Another thing that I do, if I take people with me into an area where I have Sasquatch that I'm very familiar with and they're used to me, because they're very protective. And like, I'll go out there and I'll go up and I'll hug that person and say, look, he's fine. I'm fine. Or she's fine. I'm fine. They aren't hurting me. See, we're friends. And so then not only are they getting it through mind speak from me and verbal, they are seeing that I'm comfortable with them. And that tends to put them at ease, because they trusted me and they knew that, if I'm okay with them, then it's probably okay. And it seems to be helpful. But I mean, those are ones that I work with all the time, and they're used to me. And so they
That
kind of
makes
pick up,
sense.
they pick it up off of me that I'm okay with them, and they tend to relax a little bit more with them. And honestly, everybody can use a hug now and then, so it works out.
I could honestly say, Robin, I'd probably have a little bit of poo if we walked away from and I left that stuff on the table and I came back and like a whistle or something was gone. I'd probably have a little poo.
Yeah. But remember, sometimes you have to leave it out there for a long period. It could be a few weeks for them
I
to get
get that.
used to it. And don't
get
put a
that.
lot down at one time because it overstimulates them and they think it's a trap.
Yeah.
So, no more than 3 things. Because,
right now we got 2 marbles out there.
yeah. And, normally they like marbles.
Yeah, I've heard that a number of times, blue marbles.
Yeah. Well, blue is a calm color for them. That's calm. A lot of the colors that go on with them affect their moods. And blue is
So
a
I go to the
calm
dollar
color.
store. You'll like this story. I go to the dollar store and I say, "Do you have any marbles?" And she goes, "Yes." She goes, "Can I ask what you're doing with them?" I said, I'm making them gifts for Sasquatch." And she went, "Oh my God. Oh my God." She goes, "I get a couple people in here a year doing this."
Yeah, I love that. I love that. They do. And I always tell them, like, when I've left them out, which I haven't in a while, but if I put a marble out, I'll be like, "These are not for the kids. You don't eat these." Like I do. I tell them. I verbally tell them, and I tell them in my mind, "Do not eat. These are not food. These are not for the kids." Like, no, they do not go in the mouth. But yeah, they love those marbles. They used to, and I've told this story before, when my granddaughter, who's now 19, but when she was 5, she was at my house. Her mom and dad were gone out of town, and she stayed with me. And she would go out and play in the sand, and they would get rocks that were about the size of marbles. And I had 3 of them at the time that I was very close to. And they would roll from the wood tree line. You would see her sitting there playing in the sand, and you would see these small little rocks that were the size of marbles roll from the woods. You'd see their hairy feet roll from the woods right in front of her, and she would laugh, and she'd pick it up, and she'd throw it back and roll it back to him, and pretty soon it'd come rolling out again. And that was a game they used to play all the time. And, of course, I'd look outside and see her playing it with them, and I would go out right away, and bring her back up to the house, and then they would roll it from the woods up the walkway. So they love the marbles. Yeah, she was 5.
We're going to see if the trade happens this weekend, but I really did feel that was a person who took it.
Yeah, they said it was the boy that they're showing me. I can see him. They're showing me images of him, and they said that he took him, and Lahara was not happy because he wanted it for himself.
Greedy on
but
the
he said,
coins.
"I didn't scare him." He said, "I didn't scare him, and I didn't hurt him because he was a child."
Now let me ask you this: what if we were, because they're in the open, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What if we were to get like a piece of moss or a piece of bark to cover it up?
You could absolutely try that. Put it kind of like a little bit at an angle, because they might be curious enough to pick that up. To see, I would try it and see if you have any success with it. They're all individual, so it's going to depend on which one sees it. But they might lift it up out of curiosity and see it. I think that's a great idea to try. The worst it can do is not work, but you've got everything to gain.
But if they know it's there,
yeah, talk to them in your head and tell them, and they may watch it for a while in case it's a trap, because everything to them is a trap. But I think that's a great idea to try. You're not going to hurt anything trying it.
All right, Robin, we're going to cut it for the night.
All right, it was
but
good to be
here. I appreciate
here.
you, my beautiful friend.
Oh, I love you. You guys are awesome, and I will be back next week. You've been warned.
Well, we will see you next week. Thank you, Robin Haynes. And we're going to say thank you to Deborah Rooney with a hat trick, Richard, Kira, Human Carl, Adam, Cosmic Joe, Kitty Caddywhack, T-Bone, my man, Mark, and Para Anon. with the super chats ×2. We'll see you tomorrow night when our guest will be Eugene Braxton, the near-death riddle. You may know Eugene from our chat room. He is so brilliant. So brilliant. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. Good night, Robin.
Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.